Good evening, everyone. We're going to begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So those that wish to participate are invited to stand, face the flag, remove any hats, and place your right hand over your heart. Participation is voluntary and respectfully welcomed. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. We're going to next have recognitions.
The first recognition is for Junior Beta, the National Beta Competition winners. The Board of Education extends its congratulations to our National Beta Competition winners. Elijah Ellis earned 8th place in spelling, and Seth Doyle achieved 5th place in color photography. Their accomplishments reflect dedication, talent, and excellence, and we are proud to celebrate their success on the national stage.
Parents, do you want to get up and take a picture in the center while they all stand there? You can. Get one in the middle.
Wait, boys,
Hey, don't leave. Don't leave. They want one more picture.
the parents could.
Don't leave, sorry.
Parents have to have a
Oh, you
picture
get in there with
too.
them? Oh, take a picture of them.
Get in.
Gina's trying to fix her camera.
Yeah.
Fix her camera. Sorry.
Camera. It is a technical difficulty. Congratulations.
Congratulations. The second item is the Beta Engineering Team. The Board of Education proudly congratulates the Rolla Technical Institute Engineering Team for their outstanding achievement at the National Senior Beta Club Convention in Orlando, Florida. The team earned 5th place at Nationals, showcasing the talent and dedication of our students. Team members include Eleanor Hoon, Project Lead the Way, Raiden Jones, Wood Manufacturing, and Seven Hovel, Culinary Arts, under the guidance of their coach, Megan Bilbrough, drafting and design instructor at RTI. We commend their hard work and celebrate this remarkable achievement.
Come on up, let's go, bro.
You're not hiding. I was trying really hard.
Yeah, Ms. Bilbao, anything you want to say there?
She keeps trying to.
You have to go to the microphone.
I have to be official and make it official? All right, so these guys, last year was the first year that we did National Beta with RTI. So they took 5th at the state competition. Went to nationals over the summer. So 7 placed at state for pottery competition. One of our engineering members that was with us at state wasn't able to attend our summer conference, and he stepped in and took her place for us while we were there. So this was an amazing group of kids. This young man had like 2 days to prepare for this competition.
Wow.
And knocked it out of the park. They all worked very, very well together, and I am super, super proud of them.
Very good. Thank you. Good job. Good job.
Next, the Board of Education proudly recognized our Board Secretary, Amy Lubert, for earning her basic certification through the MSBA Certified Board Secretary Academy. This achievement reflects her dedication to professional growth and excellence in board service. To qualify, Amy had to serve as a board secretary for at least one fiscal year, complete over 10 hours of specialized training, and observe board meetings from other districts. She was formally presented with her certificate at the 2025 MSBA Annual Conference. So we congratulate Amy on this milestone and thank her for her continued leadership and commitment to our school community. So thank you, Amy.
All right, at this time, we're ready to move on to our, the rest of our meeting. So you're welcome to stay, or if you would like to leave, that's fine too. Except for none of you in that second row over there.
Or no.
You're presenting, you
You're
cannot.
the presenters. Thank you. Okay, I know we have several of you here in the room with us this evening. I know some of you may want to come up to the mic to speak. So this would be the time that you would do that in our meeting. So I ask that any person wishing to speak on any question previously discussed through administrative channels and not on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes to make a presentation to the board. Anyone wishing to do that will need to come forward and state your name for the record. You will need to come up to the microphone so that they can hear you through our live stream. Do we have anybody that would like to do that?
We do. Ms. Clayton and I have cards here,
Oh,
so.
okay, thank you.
These are in no particular order, so I'm just going to go in the order that I have in my hand here. So first up was Lindsay Bagnall. Lindsay? Oh, there she is. I'm sorry.
I do want to just say a few things. The board encourages comments about the district from members of the public. A person speaking during the public comment period may voice their thoughts and concerns, including offering objective criticism of the district, operations, and programs. The board will not hear comments regarding any individual staff members or students in public comment. The board president will direct the participant to the published complaint procedures for the consideration of a legitimate complaint involving a student member or staff. Each participant is granted 3 minutes to address their topics. The board will hear the public comments, but will not respond. Please remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda. The board directs that participants not use insults, abusive or profanity, or any type of defamatory language. Failure to comply with this request may cause the public comment to be terminated. The board has adopted policies to provide prompt and adequate resolution and complaints and concerns for employees, students, and their parents, and the general public. Copies of our district policy and procedures are available on our district website. We do have a timekeeper, and that will be Ms. Amy there for us.
Okay, great,
Your time.
super. Thank you very much.
Okay, and again, please state your name.
Sure. My name is Lindsay Bagnall. I'm a graduate of the Rolla Public Schools, as are my two daughters, and let me tell you, we have the best school system anywhere, I'm convinced. I'm here today to strongly urge you not to comply with requests from Moms for Liberty. They're an organization founded to control society, to deny rights, to discriminate against certain populations, most notably gay, lesbian, and trans, to rewrite history, denying slavery and the fight for human rights, eliminate science from schools because they believe evolution is a myth. If they get their way, our students will be poorly educated, insulated from the rest of the world, and unable to function in a free society. Bullying and mistreatment of children who differ from their norm will be considered acceptable, maybe even right by them. I will not stand by and let this happen in my community. Some of you know I've recently stood up for my rights and the rights of others, and I am not about to stop. Censoring, banning books is an abridgment of my rights, both educational and religious, and I will not allow my basic constitutional rights to be abridged. In case you're not aware of who the Moms for Liberty are, let me tell you. This organization was co-founded by Bridget Ziegler, who has been in a three-way sexual relationship with her husband, Christian, and an unnamed woman who charged Christian with raping her. The unnamed woman claims this relationship has persisted for approximately 20 years. Here's a little of what ABC News reported last year when this came out. Bridget Ziegler has made her career focused on eliminating LGBTQ discussion and LGBTQ existences from public schools. So said Xander Moritz, the Pineview School Student Council president, who told ABC Nightline co-anchor Juju Chang, all the while engaging in an LGBTQ relationship. She's welcome to have threesomes, Moritz says. The real problem here is that we have a politician who has successfully spent years lying and changing political discourse and structure across our state. But what she knew the whole time was a lie. We recognize that she's a hypocrite, said Joyce Peralta, who spoke at one of the recent school board meetings. What do our students see? A liar. ABC News also reported that Moms for Liberty, a nonprofit that receives funding from conservative groups like Heritage Foundation and the Leadership Institute, works to effect change in school boards across the country, including advocating against school curricula that mentions LGBTQ rights, critical race theory, and discrimination. I am adamantly opposed to any organization that wants to eliminate truth from education. I am adamantly opposed to any organization that wants to eliminate freedom in the United States. I am adamantly opposed to the Wealthy Heritage Foundation and their Project 2025 that is insidiously working to turn my country into a Christian national community. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. You all have received my letter in full, so I'll only read excerpts in spite of time. As a citizen, community leader, and parent of a high school student, I want to express my concern about any effort to ban or limit access to materials in our libraries. The First Amendment protects 5 core freedoms: the freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and the right to petition our government. The intention to restrict students from accessing books in the public or school libraries is a direct infringement on the freedom of speech because it censors accessibility of information and ideas. Time and again, the constitutionality of removing books from library shelves has been deemed a violation of the First Amendment. Book banning is not only illegal, it is also illogical and inconsistent. People do not agree on what books should be included or excluded from circulation. What one person finds meaningful and engaging, another person finds repulsive and offensive. Public spaces, such as community and school libraries, cannot realistically match the expectations and preferences of the vastly diverse public. Based on a survey conducted by the American Library Association, 7 in 10 parents oppose the removal of books from public libraries. The survey also concluded that 74% of parents of public school children express a high degree of confidence in school librarians to make good decisions about what books should be available to children, including books with controversial materials. As a parent, I want my child to have access to a wide variety of resources. It's my job to support his public education by reading with him, discussing what he is reading, and encouraging him to think critically and to reflect on the content of what he reads. Moreover, there's an approval educational process for parents who want to limit exposure of their children to certain books or content at school. I defer to the school board and the administration to detail the specifics of this process, but it's my understanding that parents have a right to specify certain books to be on a list that their child cannot access. This provides parental opportunity to guide their children according to their personal preferences without stipulating those preferences on all students. Additionally, there's a process for books to be challenged through a review process. If there are concerns about what is appropriate and age-based content, it should go through that process. So I ask you to value the input of those who oppose certain books in the school libraries of Rolla ISD. But I also ask you to give equal value to the award-winning authors who put their hearts into their work, the publishers who saw value in producing these books, those who requested that these books be purchased and placed on the library shelves, the administrators of the library who selected and evaluated the content of these books and deemed them appropriate for circulation, and the many library patrons, our students and teachers who advocate for a wide variety of books to remain accessible on the shelves of the libraries throughout the district. Let's leave it to the library staff to discern what books are best placed on the shelves of our libraries. Let's leave it to parents to decide what is most appropriate for their children to read or not read. And let's leave it to library patrons to read, discern, and evaluate the content of each book that they pick up to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Okay, next we have Amber Miller.
Hi, guys. Guess what I'm here to talk about? The books. So my name's Amber Miller, and I found out about the concern about the books on the shelf on Tuesday, and I read them both since then. So Lawn Boy is one of the ones that everybody seems to be so concerned about. This book details healthcare disparities, LGBTQIA, poverty, struggling to better yourself, the importance of a library, depression, the type of people you surround yourself, and getting to know yourself and loving yourself for who you are. Sounds like a terrible book, right? No, it's really good. Identical by Ellen Hopkins. So this one is very complex. It's about sexual assault by a close family member and the effect of witnessing and experiences and finding help. That seems like a book that would be really beneficial to someone who is struggling with something like that. It explains things in great emotional detail of people who would have something like this happen to them and someone who has witnessed this happening to someone else in their family. It's complex, it's really hard to read, and I am sure that it would benefit someone who is struggling with something like this at home and might encourage them to seek help themselves and get the help that they needed. Moms for Liberty has also tried to ban Freckle-Faced Strawberry, which is a book by Julianne Moore, and it is about a little girl who doesn't like her freckles, and by the end of it, decides she does like her freckles after all. So, sounds like a terrible thing, right? To accept ourselves, that's considered DEI. No truth without Ruth, not a mention of abortion, just all of the things that she's accomplished as a woman. Anyway, those are some of the things. Lawn Boy was last checked out by a staff member October 14th, 2025, and it's the only time the book's ever been checked out since acquiring it on April 1st, 2019. Identical was last checked out January 26, 2023, and the most recent checkout occurred in 2018, before that. So it's not even getting checked out that much. There's a thing in place where people who have kids here, and I have 2 little kids here, and I graduated from here, can ask for their kids not to read certain books. There's already a policy in place. This should be a non-issue. I don't understand why it's even being brought up. It's up to the parents to decide these things. These are books on our shelves. They are important. They are valuable. People can draw things from these. I think they're beautiful books, and I think that they should be kept in place. That's all I have to say, my friends.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Colin Gentry.
Hi, my name is Colin Gentry. I'm a recovering high school student, not here. So I'm going to say something that's true about most of the people here, which is that I have not read either of the books that I'm told have been called into question here. But I have been looking into them. I did want to speak a bit about that book, Identical, by Ellen Hopkins. It describes the traumatic sexual abuse that is experienced by 2 sisters at the hands of their father and how they cope with it. I myself grew up with an abusive parent, not the type or severity as the kids in the book, but it was abuse nonetheless. And something about growing up in an abusive house that outsiders don't really get is it really warps your worldview. right? You know that something is wrong and that you're unhappy, but you have no frame of reference to grasp the extent to which your treatment is not normal. Because we only have one set of parents, only one childhood. We don't know what happens behind others' closed doors. It can be easy to convince ourselves that it's normal to be treated this way and that we deserve it. When we've grown up, we can often struggle to form normal, healthy relationships and adopt healthy coping strategies because we grew up in a deeply abnormal environment. And that's why abusive behavior can be passed from generation to generation. Another challenge of abuse is stigma. We feel it's not acceptable to be public about these experiences, so we bury them. We don't talk about it, and in doing so, we make the abuse victims feel even more alone and like their very existence is obscene. I was fortunate to grow up with a mother, an extended family who looked out for me, but many other kids were not so lucky. For them, abuse is all they know and all they understand. I think younger me would have benefited greatly by reading a book like Identical, and there are many kids out there who I know would benefit as well. Books like Identical put a name to what they're experiencing. It gives them the context to understand what they're going through, and they can deeply relate to how the characters cope with their experiences. It shows how they can escape their situation and break the cycle of abuse. Identical confronts sexual abuse, which is far more common in real life than we want to admit. Students living through similar situations deserve to see themselves represented and deserve access to narratives that affirm that what happened to them is not their fault. And I understand there are scenes in the book that are hard to read, descriptions of sexual abuse, drug use, and self-harm, but I ask you to consider, why are these scenes in the book, and how exactly do you think kids would be harmed by reading them? These scenes are not meant to be enjoyable, arousing, or gratifying. Nobody is going to read this book and think, man, these characters seem to be having an awesome time. I want to be just like them. Sex, abuse, drugs, self-harm, these are not foreign concepts to teenagers. I'm a recent teenager. I bet most students know someone who is going through these things. These are open secrets. Removing books like this do not protect anyone from anything. They deny them the chance to understand these realities in the safe environment of a school. So when you're considering removing books from libraries, which is not even something I'm opposed to in principle, it's critical to look deeper. Don't just focus on the bad language or heavy subjects. Think about what the intentions behind these books are. Are they gratuitous and needlessly vulgar, or are they evocative and sending an important message? Ask yourself what the actual harm kids would come to by reading this book. I believe the harms of books like Identical are greatly overstated. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gentry.
Okay, next up, Jody Eberly.
Good afternoon. My name's Jody Eberly. I live in Rolla. I don't have any students at Rolla Public Schools now, but my son started his education at Wyman and graduated from Rolla High School in 2014. I still care about the quality of education that the kids today are getting, because those kids are our future leaders, educators, scientists, workers, and citizens. And they will shape the world that my kids and grandkids either get to or have to live in. So it's really important to me, even as a non-parental person right now, that all these kids have the best education that they can get. I'm here, of course, today to talk about books. Full disclosure, I also have not read either or any of the books in question. I have, however, read one of my favorite books. This is my visual aid for today. I don't know if anybody else has read The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss and Other Stories. This one is from 1964. It was given to my little brother, and I still have it in my possession. The stories in this well-read and well-loved book are about how we treat each other differently based on how similar or how different other people are from ourselves, and how we sometimes can twist ourselves into knots trying to prove that we know better than anybody else. So what does this have to do with removing or banning books? Well, I and every other parent have the right to decide the books that our own kids are exposed to. But no other parent has the right to decide what books my kid or anybody else's kid has the right to read or not read. It's my understanding that the Rolla Public Schools already has a policy in place that allows parents to identify books that they don't want their kids to have access to, and that is great. Please have people use that policy to remove the books from their kids that they don't want them to have access to. Use that existing policy to protect their own kids. My kid didn't need that kind of protection. I don't want that kind of protection. And I think there are other parents who would prefer to keep that for themselves. Books are the building blocks of education. They inform us, challenge us, excite us, sometimes bore us, and show us all the wonder of the world that we live in. Kids need all of that in order to be ready to face the world as adults. Please don't limit the educational opportunities of all of our kids just because of the biases of a few. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, John Woodfin.
I think I'll pass. The other speakers have been far more eloquent than I will be, and I support everything that they have to say, and I thank them for speaking tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Woodfin.
Andrew Gigger.
All right, I am Andrew Gigger, and like a lot of people in here, I'm a proud graduate of Rolla High School. I got such a great education, I took it all the way through law school, became a constitutional scholar. So I have a little bit of a different entry point here. Tinker versus Des Moines is held still standing case law, where students do not shed their rights at the schoolhouse gate. It's as simple as that. And you can still look into this case, it's very specific. Another one even more specific is Island of Trees versus Pico by Pico. And they discuss how libraries are the centers for voluntary inquiry and the dissemination of information and ideas at school libraries enjoy a special affinity within the rights of free speech. Seems very, very simple. Secondarily, as a public policy argument, I think this undermines the entire educational mission. Critical thinking is what schools are here to teach. And they're, in my mind, schools are there to teach you how to think, not what to think. Preparation for citizenship is another thing that I learned in school. We are going to encounter people that we don't agree with on a day-by-day, hour-by-hour basis. And if we can't learn, discuss, develop empathy in these areas, I really don't know where we're going to go. And as they've discussed, there's a lot of infringing on parental rights here. Students have the right to read, even if they're a first grader like mine at Mark Twain. She has First Amendment rights. Thank you.
Mr. Geiger. Anyone else?
Okay, I have no other cards. Is there anyone wishing to speak tonight? Did we miss anybody? Okay.
All right. Well, I just want to say on behalf of the Board of Education, we'd like to thank everyone for sharing your thoughts and your concerns with us this evening. This is not an agenda item related to the removal of books from the school libraries on our publicly posted agenda this evening, and therefore we will not be discussing or taking any action on this topic tonight. All of you just need to be aware of our district policies that are available on our public view, that are for public view on our district website, and that's at rolla31.org. And those specifically for you to reference is the IIAC-R1, Instructional Media Centers, School Librarians Section, Consideration of Materials, KLB and KLB-AP1, which is public questions, comments, or concerns regarding district instructional media library materials. Again, thank you for your engagement, and we will now continue with our regular school board business. So you're welcome to stay, or this is your time. You can, you may leave if you like.
Let me just say real quick, sorry, I just got notice from the control booth that we're having a little bit of issue with the live stream. So if you have anybody that was looking for the live stream, they're having some issue there. The recording is still happening, so that recording will be posted later this evening or tomorrow, depending on the tech piece there. But we are having a little bit of issue with the live stream, so just want y'all to be aware of that.
Great. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to other items on our agenda. Before we get started, we did accept some retirements with regrets during our closing meeting session. We had John Shalinsky for 23 years of service in our district, Rachel Kessinger for 32 years of service in education, and a support staff retirement of Kristen Wood for 33 years of service in our district. We wish them all the best in their future retirement years to come here. All right, moving on then to our consent agenda. A consent agenda is utilized by the Rolla Board of Education as means of dealing with routine matters, which must be considered by the Board of Education but require a minimum of discussion. All Board of Education members receive and review written information supporting the items listed on the consent agenda well in advance of the meeting. While any Board of Education member is welcome to remove any item from the consent agenda for separate consideration or discussion for any reason, normally, all items on the consent agenda are approved in one motion with a minimum of discussion. Tonight, we have items A through E. Is there anything we need to discuss, Dr. Jarrett?
One item to call out for you, under contracts, item D3, Raptor Technologies. We are having some issues with Entrado, our emergency notification system, and we have asked to be released from that contract per the terms of that contract, but we don't have that official notice yet. But technically, that contract ends December 31st. So given the timing and that, we're asking you to go ahead and approve a new contract with Raptor as a replacement product pending release of that contract. So we won't execute that contract until we get official notice from Entrado that they have released us. So it's the only thing there. Happy to answer any question.
Could you point out the candidate filing?
Candidate filing.
Sorry.
Yep.
Item C, notice of school board elections. So we have 3-year terms for Carla Clayton, Suyu Daly, and Mark Sells expiring in April of 2026. Filing begins December 9th at 8 a.m. and ends at 5 p.m. on December 30th. There are some days in there that we are closed for holidays, but those are posted. And also note that there is a recommendation for some backup personnel. Amy typically takes care of those filings, but on the chance that she's out of the office, Michelle Danduran and Michelle Roster would also be able to assist with that filing.
Great. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, items A through F.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. All right, our consent agenda has been approved.
Presentations on agenda items.
Oh, it was. Thank you very much. I'm going to back up for just a second. I apologize. We did have presentations on agenda items. Any person wishing to speak on any items on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes to make a presentation. Anyone want to speak on an item on the agenda? No? I apologize for that. Thank you for catching it. All right, moving on to old business for our long-range facility update with Dr. Fulton, as well as storm recovery.
I do.
Oh, you need to-
Hold on, guys. You should have it. So coming here tonight to, while she's pulling that up, to talk to you about all the projects we have going on. I will tell you that our tornado recovery is going well. So I have some pictures in there that I'm going to share with you here in just a few minutes. The playground is up and operational at Wyman. That is a big thing. That is absolutely awesome. So, so just know that we're going there. So I've combined both presentations into one for you this evening. So even though there's 2 different items, we're going to scroll all the way through. We're going to start off with the Phelps County Community Foundation Early Childhood Center. That is a rendering of what the building will look like eventually. So with the project timeline, I just put everything in here. We received bids on October 21st. You met on October 28th. We awarded that project to SM Wilson for the amount of $8,343,500. We have given them notice to proceed. We've already had our meeting with them to move forward. So they will be moving on with a timeline of moving in and final inspection in August. As we have been talking about for many months, we are replacing the turf at the football field. We are going to upgrade the lighting at baseball, soccer, softball, and the football fields. And then we're going to talk about the softball field replacement. That is a tornado item that we are doing because of the tornado. So with that, those projects were in one bid. So the bids were turned in October 21st. We awarded that to K&S Construction on October 28th in the amount of $4,095,900. Work will begin within the next 2 weeks with a final inspection on those projects in April. Questions about those so far? Awesome. Mark Twain Elementary. We have been working with Honer Associates to create plans in our insurance company, along with the window replacement on those windows that are still boarded up facing Soest Road or Salem Avenue. We are planning to replace the old cafeteria with a storm shelter, and we are looking at what we can do with the old cafeteria area and possible classrooms. Approximate timeline, I've been telling you 18 to 24 months. We're still within that timeline. So with that, these are renderings, just to remind you, it's been a while since we've seen those. This would be the storm shelter area, with it being placed there at the corner of Leonard and where there is already a door. So it would go in that area, Leonard and Salem. Why are we waiting for the windows? This is why. It is important for us to get rid of the 1955 windows on that area. So people have been asking, why is there still plywood? Because we want all of this to be one seamless project. So we're going to look at that. Whenever the construction comes in for the storm shelter, we'll also do the windows at that time. This is the possible future project area that we are looking at. Again, not saying we're doing it future project, but in the old cafeteria area, this is what it could look like. Questions about those drawings? So I have come to you the last few months and I have moved off the dates, and unfortunately I have to do this again. In meeting with Honer Associates, we were supposed to go out to bid this week. There has been some delays with our mechanical and electrical engineering firm, with McClure. They needed some extra time. Looking to go issue the drawings about in mid-December. I put December 25. I can't go with the actual date yet because I don't really have that. With bids due back early January, with coming to you for an approval at the January 22nd meeting, with the notice to proceed in early February. I will remind you that most of that project is insurance fund related. We do have the approval to make that a storm shelter. So, but the infill, if we decided to put another building, would be on us, so we would need to talk about that, as well as the windows that go in the front. So there'll be quite a bit to discuss there. Questions? Then let's go on to the fun part. Wyman Elementary. The roofing repair and the gutter work finally was completed, and the playground equipment was installed. The kids played on it for the first time on Monday. So all of that equipment, believe it or not, when it was put in, they saved all of those. That is the exact same equipment that we had there. So it is all in, all new rubber surfacing. It looks great out there for those kids. They are so excited. I know it's been a while, so thank you for your patience. Rolla Middle School, just to let you know that all of the guttering has been repaired and replaced. I know we've talked about it, but just to tell you that all of the HVAC units were put on the building during our day off in October. Butzer is up there working on hooking up all of those units, because that is our heat as well. Right now, we're not in dire need of them, but they are being hooked up and being installed right now with the final repairs to the gas line. The gas line has been temporary so we can run gas in the kitchen, but we're getting there. So we're making really good progress. Very happy there. Any questions?
Back to Wyman for just a second. Did the building or the little shed that was being used by the PTO with their supplies?
Has been replaced.
Wonderful.
And the supplies have been replaced as well.
Okay, great.
Great.
Okay.
deal. More stuffed animals.
We worked hard on that.
Did.
It has been, it's in and replaced. It
Took a
is
long time
maroon
to
and
get
gray,
supplies
to
on
be
it.
honest with you. All the shed in the back is maroon and gray now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
All right. Moving now then to new business. We have our annual performance report. Dr. Welch.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, we have received our annual performance report. Just as a reminder, this is information in regards to last year, so the 2024-2025 school year. So it's measures related to that school year's data. For those folks that are in the audience and maybe watching at home who aren't aware of what the annual performance report is, it essentially measures the extent to which our school districts and individual school buildings meet the Missouri School Improvement Program, or MSIP, standards. So school districts receive a ranking based on a 0 to a 100 scale. And anyone that falls below a 50% on that ranking could have a designation as unaccredited by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Those that fall kind of in that mid-range, essentially from 70 up to 95%, would be accredited, and those who are over 95%, they receive accredited with distinction. This is a new cycle with MSIP, so we're in year 4 of MSIP 6. And there are some rules about how schools cannot be harmed by the data that comes in the first year. So DESE does have to collect consecutive years of data before making these designations. All of our individual years of APR scores, since MSIP 6 has started, we have fell within that accreditation range. So when those official designation comes out, I fully expect for us to fall there. Just as a quick reminder, here are all of the different MSIP 6 available measures. So we will go through each of these tonight. They have moved over the last 4 years. Some of that has been intentional, but they have evolved over time in regards to how many total points we could receive. Some of those things, again, have been phased in over time. And just as a quick reminder, not every district has the opportunity to earn all 200 total points. That is the maximum that a district could potentially earn. And we do earn all 200 or have the opportunity to earn all 200, but that really depends upon the size of your district, the grade level configuration, the student groups that you serve. So there's several different factors there. And then one other thing that I do want to remind you of, we'll talk about success-ready measures, but we do receive points for success-ready students in both the performance category, which is where the majority of our points are earned, 70%. But you'll see that listed again under continuous improvement, where we earn our remaining 30% of our points. So up above in the performance section, this does include things like college and career ready, advanced credits and coursework opportunities for our students. And then when you see it down below in the continuous improvement section, this includes data such as our kindergarten entry assessment information, the ICAP, which is the requirement for 8th grade students for their career planning, and it does include attendance points as well. Okay, a couple of other reminders. These were some of the changes that were made last year, and I just wanted to remind you of that. There were no changes this year to any of the calculations, but the 2 changes that were made last year, one was how the achievement growth was calculated. We've talked about this in past years, that this is a complicated process. This is not something that we calculate on our own. It's something that's calculated. DESE has a contract with MU and a statistician who has created that growth model formula. That information is shared with us, but they did simplify that process last year, and that was at the request of districts across the state because of the complexity of it. There were also some other things that just made it, I think, confusing, difficult to communicate to school boards, and so DESE did make some changes with that. The other thing that they changed was the success-ready students under that performance section. You might remember this is something that has delayed us getting these results every year. because it's quite the process when students take the MAP assessment. All that data has to go to DESE. They have a cleanup process. And some of these pieces, they just take a really long time for districts to work through that process back and forth with DESE. So starting last year, they began using lagging data for that particular metric. So when we look at this information later in the presentation, it won't be for the 24-25 school year or those students. It would be from the data the year prior. This is a slide that I shared with you at our last board meeting, and we talked a little bit about the overview of our student achievement at the district level. And you'll remember that I told you that this calculation or these points are measured by what's referred to as the MAP Performance Index, or MPI. And that MPI score basically just measures student performance on the MAP assessment. This is looking at a district view, and so it's all students who have taken assessments both in grades 3 through 8, as well as end of course assessments in the 4 major core content areas. And this is the overall score that the district received. So that MPI composite number is being used to calculate our APR score as well. So there's a connection between those two things. When we look at the performance section, we have several metrics here, and you see that you have student achievement status. In the performance section under achievement status, this is really just asking the question, are all students achieving at high levels? These scores we share with you regularly in regards to how our students are scoring and then also how they compare to students across the state. This student achievement status is really specifically looking at how each of those student groups are performing, okay? So DESE identifies students who have historically performed below the state average, and then they report that data specific to these groups. So we get 2 metrics here, all students together and then student groups. Those students that fall in the student group are students that would include English language learners, students with disabilities, low-income students, and the state's major racial and ethnic student groups. All districts and schools receive a designation here of target, on track, approaching, or floor with our overall score. So for example, if we score on track for all students in the area of math, that means that we've earned 75% of those points. Within each of those designations, there is a range of points that you could earn that would basically give you that designation. So I've included the last 4 years under MSIP 6, so you can see that in the beginning we had some areas where we were below the on track, and those have increased over time. The last 2 years we have maintained the on track status in all 4 of the core content areas for all students as well as all of the student groups. Okay. Achievement growth, this is that next section. And this is one of the areas that has changed over time. So I just want to remind you that in the old approach, we had 3 categories. We had the opportunity to basically have a range of points that were assigned, and one of those 3 categories was given as a designation. The language was different than the achievement status section, and so that just caused a lot of confusion. So this was some of the feedback that DESE received from districts all across the state, and so last year they made the change in regards to the number of categories as well as the points that were provided to each of those. And it does vary depending upon which of the content areas we're looking at. So I only included 2024 and 2025 because of that change in the metric. We could look back at 22 and 23, you have access to those, but moving forward, kind of using that similar metric. Each of our LEAs or our schools, they have the opportunity to help students improve over time. So achievement growth is just looking at that, right? We're looking to see how our students improving over time. So if a student starts taking this assessment, the MAP assessment in 3rd grade, a school doesn't have the opportunity to receive growth points until those students have taken those assessments at least twice. So for each of the school reports, Mark Twain, Wyman, Truman, you will not see that they have earned points in this category. They don't have the opportunity to do so because they're only configured pre-K through third grade. So they only have 1 year of data. We do see these scores begin to be reported at the middle school as well as junior high and high school. And you may remember in the past, we've talked about how that is calculated for end-of-course assessments at the high school. For example, a student who takes a biology EOC, there is some calculations being done on the back end in regards to how they have historically scored on math and science assessments previously as a predictor of how they will score on that science assessment in high school. Same thing with social studies. There's only one time that a student takes a social studies MAP assessment, and that is at high school on the end of course. So again, there have been calculations created that say if they've done this on the ELA assessments, this is predictive of how they should be doing in regards to the social studies. So a little bit more complicated there from the growth perspective. I would just point out on our particular data this year, you can see we have increased our scores in each of those areas, with the exception of social studies, the student group. They were on track last year, and this year it was identified as approaching. Okay, moving on to the Success Ready Students section under Performance. There are several different categories here that we receive points for. Each of these, it's different cohorts of students each time that are calculating that data and those designations. We do have a CSIP goal within teaching and learning that we want to make sure we're providing relevant, high-quality opportunities to develop our success-ready students, and we desire to have an on-track or a target designation as measured by the APR. So that's our goal. We're working towards that. We hit that in 3 of the 4 areas. The one that we did not was the CCR assessments. And again, this is the one that's lagging data. So we've taken some steps and things that we've put in place to hopefully help us improve in that area. One of the things that I shared with you last year was for CCR assessments. All students at the high school level have to take an assessment prior to graduating. In the past, we've kind of had a global approach of all students took the ASVAB at 10th grade, but the purpose of that assessment is really for students who are looking to go into the military as an option after high school. So it doesn't really make sense necessarily that all students would take that assessment. So we've tried to diversify the assessments that we're giving there and doing a better job of tracking to make sure that all students are at least taking one of those assessments and choosing one that makes the most sense for them. We added Accuplacer last year, which is a beneficial assessment for students who might be attending a 2-year university or an institution. Students also can take the ACT. There are some complexities on the back end and how this is scored. So if a student happens to take multiple assessments, there is a way that that's calculated and they can get points for the thing that they scored the highest on. So there is some benefit to students taking multiple if it makes sense for them.
So, Dr. Welch,
Yeah.
just to reiterate those steps that we took last year,
Yes,
and those efforts will be reported a year from now.
Correct.
In our score.
yes.
Okay.
Next year's data, hopefully we will see that increase.
But it's
Yep.
from last year's efforts.
Correct.
Scores.
Yep. And again, it's not just based on if they took the assessment, it's how they
well.
do on that assessment. All right, continuous improvement, we talked about this accounts for basically 30% of our overall APR score. In this category, we typically do very well. Quite honestly, it's really more about our behavior for the most part. Are we following through and doing the things that we've been asked to do? So this is an accountability piece from DESE's perspective. These things are important to get completed. Our CSIP is that process that you all work through, has all of our action steps outlined for the district, things that we're working on. We have a narrative response that we have to provide to DESE in regards to processes and how we work through those things at the district level. We are not on cycle for this year. Last year, we were on cycle to complete those steps. And so the points that we will receive in our off year are just moved forward from the year prior. So it's kind of a benefit of if you've done it on the year that you're on cycle, the year you're off cycle, whatever points you receive move forward. So we do disseminate a climate and culture survey district-wide to both internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. You've heard Dr. Fulton present on that previously in regards to the things that we're doing well, things where we have opportunities to improve. We provide, again, kind of a report and a narrative back to DESE to earn points for demonstrating that we've done that. Quite a few of the things that Mrs. Atkinson is responsible for, and Megan Duncan, all of our core data reporting, again, it's just doing that in a timely manner, making sure that we're reporting things accurately back to DESE. And then I mentioned earlier, Success Ready here in this category is that kindergarten engagement entry assessment that they're required to take. Our district has elected to use the KOF, the Kindergarten Observation Form. And so again, that is just completion of that assessment. It's not necessarily looking at how the students do, but we've completed that task and reported that back to DESE in a timely manner. Attendance is the area where we have not earned 100% of points, and so this does go back to just student attendance and whether they're here. DESE has a goal for all districts that 90% of students would be in attendance 90% of the time, so that's what we're aiming for. We have done quite a bit of work around attendance the last couple of years. You can see in 2022, that was at a 50%, and so coming out of COVID, we had a significant decline in attendance. And so we have really just, it's been a steady work over the last several years in regards to communication with our parents and families, community, just in regards to the importance of attendance and getting kiddos here on time, being present so that they can learn. So this is our overall score then that is received. You can see that's varied over the 4 years. Again, it's dependent upon who are those students within that year that are being assessed and earning points. For this particular school year, our overall score, we had 159 points earned out of 200 for a total score of 79.5%. Last year, at the end of this presentation, I kind of shared with you, here are some growth opportunities that we have. I've just gone back to the slide and tucked it back in here. For the things that we have not met, I highlighted yellow. The things that we did meet, I highlighted green. So obviously, we still have an opportunity in ELA. When you look at our data, we've talked about that that's a strength for us. It's our strongest area in those 4 core content areas in terms of how students perform on the assessment. We are in the on-track designation. We're at the upper end of it. And so we're just kind of, you know, I think it's about 6 percentage points or 6 points on that MPI scale to move into the target range. That's our goal, is to hit that target range. And so we've been doing a lot of work in the area of ELA, knowing it's a strength for us, but we're right there on that threshold, and we would like to be able to move to that next category for the benefit of our students and for just this overall metric. Within math and science, we had a goal of moving to the on-track designation, which we did this year. We moved out of emerging to on-track. In the achievement growth, this is the place where we always struggle the most in terms of our points earned. So our students achieve at high levels. We typically score at or above the state average on all assessments, but how do students move over time in the rate of their growth? This is where we typically have not earned as many points as we would like to. So we did have some goals there to move forward in that area, and I'm happy to say that we met both of those with this year's data. And then attendance, again, we have had the goal since coming out of COVID that we would like to return to that pre-pandemic rate of 90% or higher. We did not meet that this year, but we have continued to just steadily increase year over year. So again, we had gains there this year, but still not back to that 90%. Couple of celebrations. In the achievement status section, we did receive on track for all core content areas. That's all students and all student subgroups. Again, a celebration for us there. The achievement growth, we hit that on track designation in ELA and science student subgroups as well. So again, a celebration. Under success-ready students, we want to celebrate the fact that our graduation rates continue to be high. We are above the state average there, and we have a number of students who earn advanced credits. This is an area where we hit target year after year, and again, we've had attendance gains. When we publish this data for the public, it's on our website. We always include a comparison of how we're doing with other districts that we would compare ourselves to for other reasons. And so I've included that information for you as well. At a state level, just for a little context, there's 551 total school districts that are reported in the APR process. And so of those 551, 143, I would say, are comparable to us because they also have the opportunity to earn all 200 points. So we're not comparable to an Edgar Springs who's only K-8. We just don't compare. We have many other opportunities to earn points than they do, and so we wouldn't compare ourselves to them. So out of those 143 comparable districts, we ranked 73rd, so kind of right in the middle there. And the range of those districts that are in that 143 are really from a 55.3% to a 95.3%. So districts are kind of all over the place in regards to how they're performing according to these metrics. So I gave you a breakdown of how many of those fell 90% or above. It's 20 of those 143. You've got about 50 that fall between 80 and 89%, 51 at 70 to 79.9, and then below that would be 22. So you can see kind of a bell-shaped curve there. On the local comparison side, these are the districts that we typically publish and compare ourselves to: Camdenton, Jefferson City, Lebanon, Rolla, Washington, Waynesville, Union. They're just in alphabetical order, but you can see, again, all of those fall in a pretty typical range of mid-70s to mid-80s. Waynesville was outside of that this year. That was unusual for them. I looked back at their historical data, so I've got a phone call in to say, hey, what are you guys doing? I did notice they earned a lot of points in the growth section this year. We did visit them last year and looked at some math curriculum that they're using. It's one that we're going to look at this year in our review as well. But I'll be anxious to hear just kind of what they think attributed to that growth in particular. So we're always willing to reach out and try to learn from others too and see what they're doing. Any questions?
I'm thinking about how to ask this question. So, thinking of Waynesville and military, the scores are for students that have been in the district for the full year? So.
They're not included then in that data. That is correct.
Okay. So they may have more of that than we do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, their population of students in accountable versus reportable category looks very different than ours does, correct? And that's true of all districts, right? It depends on your transient population. It can depend upon students that are identified as English language learners. There are different designations that all students have to take the assessment, but their data is not necessarily reportable in this metric. Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to answer this tonight, but I would like to know what percentage of our students don't qualify for that.
Oh,
aren't
sure.
included.
Yeah, I can share that with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Unfair.
Yeah. There's a couple thousand kiddos that get counted in that. I want to say maybe roughly 200, 300 district-wide that were not included, if I remember right, but I'll pull that for you so you can see it. Any other questions?
I think just a comment for those that are kind of here with us and listening in as well, that each school, as they come up and present over the course of our meetings this month and next month, will actually touch on some of this data and what they're going to be doing to improve in their areas.
It's always timely if we get this information back from DESE to have this presentation before they jump into their school building presentation, because it kind of helps provide a little context for that.
At least they have the data this year.
Yeah.
for the presentation.
I know, they're getting better, they're getting better.
All right, you ready to move on?
Yep.
All right.
I hope nobody missed anything on that presentation.
That's good stuff.
You did well explaining it all.
Yes, thank you.
We got this one taken care of. It was fine. She wasn't sleeping, stay the whole time. She texted about
It's a long
15 minutes
night.
ago. She had to go.
It's riveting. Great info. So good. Well, and I think I thought I saw a post with the Missouris, with Desi, that a lot of schools actually.
They just.
I think overall, what is it, like 91% or something?
91% of, yeah.
Did what?
It's the way that they have it worded. They just indicated that 91% of all schools have either, like, they met the requirements,
Okay.
basically, right? So,
That's- I think, what, about 500 schools or something?
yeah.
Was on the post.
Yeah. All right, next presentation is about the upcoming course description book at the high school. So just as a reminder, the high school course description book is a tool essentially to help our students and parents as they think about selecting their pathway or their course of study at the high school level. We do organize our course book by career paths, and in those career paths, they're basically clusters of occupations and careers that are have similar interest or shared strengths, essentially. There's a variety of different occupations in each of those different pathways, and they do define for the students what the different level of education would be required for that. So the course book kind of calls that out. We do currently have about 16 career paths or clusters outlined in our course book. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to kind of talk through with you what are the recommended changes for the upcoming school year. And those are not things that I come up with, but rather we have a team of individuals who come together every year for this annual process. This year we did push back our kickoff meeting to September. Wanted to kind of get a jump start on this process. Typically we would present this in December. And all of that really has to do with, it's a massive undertaking to work 1,400 students through this process. We want to make sure that we have it done in a timely manner in the second semester because it does have impacts to any staffing requests that we might make in the spring, as well as allowing the high school to jump in and get started with their master scheduling process. So high school courses that are being recommended for some changes this year mainly are just revisions at the high school. We'll look at some new courses that are being proposed at RTI, RTC, but at the high school we have Audio Engineering 1. The revision here is that they would like to expand access and include ninth graders in that course offering, which is always a good thing for expanded access. High school jazz band has requested to add an additional prerequisite. They would like those students to audition with the instructor. Women's choir is also expanding access, so they've added ninth grade to their listing as well. FACS, Intro to Sewing and Family. This was a course that we revised that structure last year after we had some staff changes and they had an opportunity to kind of review what they were doing. This is again just a minor revision to that. They want to expand access and allow ninth grade students to participate. They do have a piece in there that does require teacher approval. And then that class leads into the creative sewing course. And so they would like to propose that students would have a C or better in that prerequisite course of sewing and family. The math department changes are nothing significant. It's really naming at the junior high. At some time, they had changed in their course description book, basic pre-algebra. They've changed the name to that from a basic math 8. And so this is kind of just cleaning up that language so it matches through both documents. The other piece that they have on there is dropping the conceptual from the name of conceptual statistics to just statistics because it's the same course content. There's nothing conceptual there. At RTI, RTC, the courses that we have there, talk about a few of those. Some other just minor changes with names and things like that, but the ones that have some more significant changes, advanced wood manufacturing, we are proposing to add a half credit of applied science. You might remember that several of our classes at the Career and Technical Center have embedded credit opportunities. There is some things that those instructors do with our high school instructors who are assigned to that embedded credit. They have to identify what are the additional assignments that students will complete in order to earn those embedded credits. And so this is just another opportunity to expand that for our students. In PLTW, last year, you'll remember we made some changes to that pathway on the engineering side. In the past, I want to say we've maybe had 8 or 9 PLTW courses that were offered that were all in the engineering pathway. We had some low enrollment. It was just almost too many offerings for that particular pathway. And so we worked to try to kind of clean that up a little bit last year. This is one that our current instructor does not have certification in and isn't necessarily needed. We really want to have about a maximum of 4 there within that entire pathway, so there's an opportunity to offer something each year for students that have an interest in that particular pathway. By cleaning that up, it also gives us the opportunity to add the computer science pathway, which we did last year. That was one of the changes that we were able to make by kind of minimizing some of the other courses on the engineering side. We could offer computer science as well. We added computer science last year, and we want to be able to grow that, so we're proposing that we would add computer science principles. That will allow us to expand that pathway essentially. The prerequisite is the computer science essentials, which is the course we added last year. So that's a good thing. And then something else that's really pretty exciting, this team has proposed, Mrs. Bilbro, she currently teaches courses such as Introduction to Architecture and Architectural and Mechanical Design. Those courses utilize different Autodesk software, but they cover many other topics in the scope and sequence of those courses. Students need to be able to use those software, but they don't have an opportunity to earn certification in those. So what they've proposed is that they would have 1 unit offerings of each of those 4. We have a site license to Autodesk, and so students could, if they have an interest in both like an architectural or an engineering field, they could come in and take these 1-hour courses to be able to gain those industry standard certifications. Students who are wanting to move into those fields at the university level, they often get there and there's an expectation that they would already have knowledge or understanding of those things. So this will be a benefit to those students that are wanting to move in that direction, be able to add those certifications to kind of to their resume as something they've completed and earned at the high school level. And it should also aid them in just being more proficient in that coursework that they need to take within those fields, because they would already be considered proficient within that software. Yes?
Do we already have a teacher?
Yes.
So we already have a teacher.
We do,
for that.
yes. I think she was
Good deal.
here. might
She
have
left.
Yep.
She left.
She left.
Yeah. Megan Bilbro, who was here earlier and had students come up that received some recognition, she teaches those courses and she would be adding these.
Great.
Students will have flexibility, so if there are seats available within the courses that she's teaching, like Intro to Architecture, they would be, it's very student independent. The teacher will be there to help guide them, but it's kind of an independent study within that software. So they'll have a seat in her classroom, which will make it flexible for them to fit that within their schedule based on what they have available. The other piece there that we have is just work study, on-the-job training. We're not getting rid of work study on-the-job training, but we are getting rid of the 2 units, and we'll just offer that as 1 unit. Students can take as many then as they need to within their schedule. It's just a flexibility. It's just a scheduling issue, basically helps us clean that up. Okay, course book implementation. So this will roll out to all staff when we return in second semester. Our counseling and administration staff, they will work with the high school and junior high teachers, make sure that they understand kind of the process, all of the tools that they have at their disposal, all the things that they've created to help them facilitate conversations with students. and basically communicate all the timelines and due dates for everything. That will happen when we return second semester. There will be information that will roll out to our students and parents about the planning information, some videos that they've created to help explain the process for them and their role. And then all students will have the opportunity to participate in several different events over the course of January 12th through 16th. We'll have our Career Expo night. There will be an enrollment night or an enrollment fair. All students will meet and have opportunities to receive feedback and guidance, and then their form will be due on the 16th. And then again, as I mentioned, all of this kind of kicks off that master scheduling process and helps us be able to determine if we have any requests for staffing moving forward based on student interest. Okay. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? No? Good information.
Okay. If not,
Thank
I do
you.
need
Great changes.
Yeah.
action on this one.
All right. Can I get a motion then to approve the 26-27 course description book?
I move we accept the changes in the course description book.
Okay. Second that?
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. If not, it is approved. And I saw you later. All right, moving on then to a staffing request by Dr. Holt.
I'm coming to you this evening requesting an additional position for an early childhood special education teacher. We have a great long waiting list, but we have some students out there with needs. So we would like to add a teacher to increase enrollment and to meet the IEP needs. This budget impact is for a full year. Keep in mind, this would start in January, okay?
Is
With-
this
yes.
a position that's reimbursed after the first year?
It is reimbursed after the first year, correct. Mhm. With a teacher, we will also need a paraprofessional. So this is the ask to have a paraprofessional to help that teacher in there. This is the salary for, again, for a full year.
Is this opening a new classroom?
It is.
That's
It is
why it's a
opening a new
teacher and a
classroom.
para?
It is. Mhm. Yeah, the enrollment needs are there, and we want to meet their needs, and so this will all transition then over to next year as well.
To be able to put the number of kids in the room, if we go above 10 kids, we have to have 2 adults.
Okay.
So we have to have the para.
Yes,
And we have the space?
Yeah.
we do.
Okay. Make sure there's room.
And we
We
have
do.
the room.
We do.
Yes, we're gonna share some office space and shift some things, but we do have a room.
We do have a room. Those are the same questions I ask. So where do we put them at Wyman? So,
But the good news is that will eventually all be in the early childhood facility.
correct. Eventually, that's right. So for tonight, I am asking for approval for one early childhood special education teacher at Wyman and one early childhood special educational teacher paraprofessional at Wyman.
I'll make the motion that we approve adding a early childhood special education teacher and paraprofessional.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. All right, it's approved.
Okay, thank you.
I'm waving to Larry. He's virtual, so I wanted to acknowledge that I can see him.
It's like, what is she doing?
Yeah, I'm not just waving, I'm not just.
She's waving at the man in the box.
Happening.
The wizard is in the box. So there you go. The wizard's in the box.
All right. Are you guys ready? It's your turn now. We're going to do our school improvement plans this evening. We have Mark Twain, Truman, Wyman, and the Rolla Middle School. So
Would we like a small break before?
would you like to take a break? Oh, hold on just a second. I think they like to take a quick break, if you don't mind.
5
Okay,
minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
I could have waited to put my chair up. I've been sitting on the floor all night.
Oh, have you?
Okay. You went to the bathroom too, so.
Principal of Truman Elementary. And overall, our presentation is going to talk about our individual buildings, but really about how we as a team have collaborated and worked together for district goals. Really proud of the 3 elementaries specifically because we've really worked on unifying what we do as elementaries and making sure that our pre-K through 3 programming right now is all as common as possible, and then partnering with the middle school to make sure that we continue that transition as they go through there. So I am tasked with telling you our overall building goals for K-6. These haven't changed. We're still working. When we introduced these a couple years ago, we talked about how this was going to be a process. We have some very lofty goals set forward that we would like to work for as a district, and we continue to make progress and very proud of the efforts that we're making towards these goals, but we're going to talk kind of breaking them down one by one. Just so that you guys can see them, the first one is 80% of students will perform at grade level or above on STAR early reading or early literacy. Same thing for math, 80% of students at or above grade level there. 90% of students will attend 90% of the time for our attendance goal. And then we each have individual building goals for our climate and culture. So we'll take some time tonight to talk about those. First thing is our STAR early literacy data from last year. One of the feedback pieces we took from you guys is looking at how we grew throughout the year. So looking backwards last year at how we started the year and then how we ended the year. You'll notice only the 3 elementaries on the board because early literacy is not tested at the middle school. This is primarily for our kindergarten and first grade students and classifies them into the exceeding in the green. Blue is our meets, yellow is approaching, and then the red is at risk. So identifying them and looking towards that growth model throughout the year. And then at the bottom, we have each school building and their fall assessment and then spring. So you'll see Mark Twain, Truman, and then Wyman. And really looking towards that growth, at how we move students above it. Okay. Breaking that down into a slightly different perspective, looking at the proficiency scale and students who are meeting their targets and what we're working towards. This time again, the gray is the early or the beginning of the year, and then the maroon is our spring data at how we grew throughout the year and how our students did. One thing to note on this may be that some of our students took first grade, for example, took this in the fall. They became readers, and so they moved on to the STAR assessment, so their data may not match that spring assessment for early literacy. So one thing that does tweak that just a little bit, it's not always the same cohort of kids because some of them move on to the STAR assessment. Speaking of STAR assessment, this is first through third grade who will take this, and then we add in the middle school. So same categories, same labeling, but we add the middle school in there at the end. Same goals, trying to get those kids moving up the category. Big thing is identifying those students in the red. If they qualify in the red, they're going to get an RSP. Mrs. Heflin will talk to you guys about that in a little bit. But really trying to work on progressing those students up to the next categories. And same thing as we move forward from there. Again, the proficiency scales, as you'll see there, again, the adjustment here becomes we add in some students now. And so that fall assessment will identify those who have already been reading as we enter the year. And then as kids gain and grow that experience, then they may come in and add to that assessment as well. Some important things to know about our reading. I want to highlight the instructional coach, Mrs. Rapp for K-6. She has worked really hard in her first year in the program, trying to just figure out what the elementary model is like. She's a former 5th grade teacher, so she knew what the middle school was like, but she spent a lot of time in the elementaries, getting to know our staff, getting to see and observe what that looks like, really building relationships and improving her capacity to help those teachers and students in there. They do a lot of modeling in terms of all 4 coaches, but for Mrs. Rapp, coming in and getting the handle on UFly, which is a K2 instructional model that we use for our curriculum, and then also with Wonders for our grade levels as well. She also spent some time doing some map analysis, and I'm sure Dr. Welch helped with that, and looking for just our areas of growth. Where are the areas that we need to grow for both K3, or for third grade, sorry, and then for grades 4, 6, but also the celebrations. And so really letting our teachers focus on what have we really excelled at, what have we done very well, but also what are those specific areas that we still have to look at and try and focus on within our buildings. Some other highlights, we are in year 2 of the new teacher project. And so this is the Walton Foundation, who's partnered with the Phelps County Community Coalition and providing coaching to our K-1 teachers. They come in once a month, observe our teachers, talk to the teachers, and just give them some coaching guidance into how they can continue to improve their literacy instruction. I think that we've seen great growth from what they have done for us and how they support us. It is quite a bit of time to spend with them and work through this, but we're also seeing great growth because of that. Continuing professional development across the board. Curriculum writing, we are in year 2 of our development for the ELA program, and so we're continuing to go at learning how we need to make some adjustments in that, but continue to make growth there. And then a focus that we have across the district is learning walks, where teachers go in with the coaches, observe other teachers, and give debriefs about what they saw, trying to give praise for positive things, and then how are they going to take that back to their classroom and use that to improve their own instruction. One thing that I really like about it is teachers can go across the district. So teachers at Truman can go to Wyman, they go to Mark Twain, they go to the middle school, they get to observe other teachers outside of the building along with those within, and that's been a valuable experience for us.
That's great.
And I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Heflin.
All right, good evening. My name is Ms. Heflin. I'm the building principal of Wyman Elementary. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be at my first Rolla board meeting. So tonight I am tasked with talking about reading success plans. You'll hear me refer to them as RSPs. That is what we commonly refer to them in the building rather than just saying reading success plan like that over and over and over again. So this is the 3rd year of implementation for reading success plans, and it's important to acknowledge that guidelines from DESE continue to change year to year, then reflecting in our practices and what we do and how we implement those in Rolla and at our buildings individually. To determine a reading success plan, we are looking at those students who are in the red, like Rob talked about. With that being said, they take an initial screening. We call that our universal screening. That is that STAR through Renaissance or the early literacy. From there, if they are at risk means they fall below the 32nd percentile rank, or they're 1 or more grade levels below their current grade level. Then we give some secondary screeners. This helps us focus on a more in-depth need of where their deficiencies are and how we can best meet those. When we are also looking at reading success plans and who would qualify for one, there are several exempt students in that population. The first would be ELL students or English language learners. If they've scored, if they have not scored yet 2.0 on their assessment, they would be exempt from having a reading success plan. Basically what that means is they have not yet acquired the language proficiency needed for us to gauge whether it is a true reading deficit or if it's a language deficit that we then need to prepare them for prior to a reading success plan. Also, students with a significant cognitive disability, that would be defined through their IEP and IEP team. This will be students who take assessments such as MAP-A rather than MAP. They would also be exempt from a reading success plan. Dr. Welch has a spreadsheet of all of those students that we make sure we're not giving them the assessment and they would not qualify for an RSP just based on the need not being there. The data that you have on our slideshow right now is the 24-25 RSPs. If you can see, right, it's 74.5, right at 75% of our students do not qualify for an RSP. They are above that at-risk category. The exempt is the 3.6. Again, that's students with the significant cognitive disabilities that would qualify them through an IEP. And then also the ELL students who have not acquired the English skills at this time. We do have right at 20% who do receive an RSP, and 1.6 have exited off of an RSP. I know that number looks small, however, it needs to be noted that to exit an RSP is extremely difficult. They have to have, a student would have to have 2 consecutive data points above where they would need to be with no interventions. That means no title or anything of that sort. So they would be receiving no intervention and then also have to get those 2 data points. Yes.
And that would be reading at or above grade level?
Or the 32nd percentile.
Or the 30,
yes.
okay.
Yes. So that's what we have for our current RSPs. How we address those RSPs are through the 5 different pillars of reading. The PA you see there is phonemic awareness. You also have phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. That's just what we focus on when we're talking about reading. The largest areas are phonemic awareness and phonics. That's just because we are talking about a younger population of students. Those are the foundational skills that are needed, which is why a larger population would qualify for RSPs in those areas. As you get a little bit older, you can start diving into the fluency, vocabulary, and then comprehension being there as well. How we are addressing these plans is through different areas within the school. You can see here, tutoring addresses 1.7% of our student need for RSPs. SG stands for small group with inside the classroom. That's taken by the grade level teacher. The SG outside of class would be small group outside of the classroom. That could be special education rooms, ELL teachers, or our title team. And then the individualized instruction is a special education teacher that is providing the direct instruction of reading through those reading success plans. So that's how we're meeting the guidelines and the steps necessary to help those students. So, do you guys have any questions or anything in regards to RSPs? No?
Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Cross here to represent Mark Twain Elementary. The next little bit of slides, we each have a little snippet that we're going to talk about. This first academic success goal, we each have this in our buildings, but each of us tackle it a little bit differently. 80% of students will perform at grade level or above, as measured by Renaissance Star Reading or the Early Literacy Assessment. One of the things that we do at Mark Twain that I'm particularly very proud of, we have essentially pre-SAT meetings. So our SAT meetings are our student assistance team meetings. We also like to meet about once a month to see where students are struggling. So our title teachers, myself, our counselor, and our each grade level teacher will talk about more for my personal self behavioral concerns, but for our title teachers, that step for the students who are maybe those bubble kids, as well as those that we're starting to see slide. So as we see students that are, like Mr. Houck just talked about, that are in one area that maybe need to be getting some assistance to take that next step, we try to pinpoint in those specific scenarios. So we use those monthly to check in and then follow up later in that month with our official SAT team. We've seen some success with that, and it has been very beneficial as we've been trying to bring together our title and special education groups.
Speaking for Truman, our focus really is our PLC meetings, and what that looks like is each grade level meets for an hour every other week. We cover their classrooms. We have paraprofessionals and some of our other teachers who push into their classrooms so the teachers could pull back into a meeting very much like what Mr. Cross talked about. Our primary focus is over the next 2 weeks, what do we want our students to learn? What are we going to do if they haven't learned it? What are we going to do if they have learned it? And most importantly, how are we going to know that they have learned it or not learned it? And so we set that off. That's kind of how we begin our meetings, and then that drives our meeting throughout. And it is very much the same for reading as it is math. We also talk about some behavioral interventions in that, and then they rotate every 2 weeks. So this week is first grade and kindergarten, next week second grade, third grade, and then just keeps that rotation going for us.
One thing that having Ms. Sneed in our building on Wednesdays allows us to do is to meet weekly as a team. I meet every week with every grade level. Part of that weekly team meeting is then once a month we do our grading calibration. I ask all teachers to bring a work sample to me the night before. It's a work sample that they've done amongst all of the classrooms. I take any identifiable information off of that. I then bring it to the team and we sit down and as a team we grade it. It allows the teachers to calibrate their grading and make sure that we're looking for the same standards amongst the same work. And then also it just allows them to see work beyond their classroom scope and sequence. So kind of seeing where all students fall and making sure that we're aligning our practices.
Kim Davis, Rolla Middle School. On ours, the programs that we're doing and implementing at Rolla Middle School to promote our student reading success, they look like maybe new programs on there. Bulldog Boost, it may sound new, but it's actually the Response to Intervention Framework, our RTI time that we do. It used to be called Pride Time, Bulldog Pride Time. So looking at that, we were using our PLC time that's also listed on there. We really did start doing a deep dive last year during our professional learning community time. and working with our instructional coaches, and we realized that our Bulldog Boost Time, which RTI has been around for over 20 years. When I was in the classroom, it has been restructured several times over and gone through various versions. Our version had kind of gotten away from the response to intervention teaching targeted lessons to more of like a study hall and an AR time. So our building all agrees that we needed to get it streamlined, back on track to use that time specifically targeted for students and those reteaching of skills that they need. So we came up with a name. We wanted to have it, give it a name that tied in with what we wanted to do, boost student achievement. So we came up with Bulldog Boost. So that's the new name for RTI in our building and Bulldog Time. With that, we are working closely with the instructional coaches. We specifically, our teachers are meeting with them 5 times this year, and they're going through the MAP priority standards. They're using the STAR data reports on reading, and specifically for those at-risk students in the category that you saw in the graphs earlier, and they're building those lessons with the instructional coaches. That was one of the things that we kind of got away from over the years because we used to have early release, late start, and those teachers had that time to build that. So those lessons, they don't as much. So the teachers, when we did a survey at the end of last year, Miss Ross, Lydia, she helped us do a survey for the teachers, what they needed so that we could hit the ground running this year for our Bulldog Boost Time. And that was one of the things they requested. And they wanted differentiation. So during our Bulldog Boost Time, our teachers are doing the reading success plans as well, hitting those phonics, the comprehension, and our phonics and our comprehension, and what else do I have on there? The fluency piece, sorry. They are also working on a new program pushed out by DESE, which was the testlets that they're able to take, those quizzes that are map aligned. So we're really thinking this is going to boost their confidence. They'll be ready for those tests at the end of the year because it goes over map vocabulary language will be on there. It won't be like it's new to them. It's going to build their confidence. It will also expose them to the tools that they use on there because quite honestly, some of the drop-down things and things they have to maneuver, that way it's not foreign to them when they get to the test time. Our students that are accelerated during Bulldog Boost Time, they are using the exact path still in the study island because we're doing our reading success plans. We're pulling those kids back in small groups. That's a big part of our response to intervention time, our Bulldog Boost Time. Our 4th and 5th grade teachers, though, this year are using part of our Wonder series that we adopted. There's 2 features in the Wonder series that's helping us address our reading achievement, and that is it's called the Wonders Adaptive, and it gives a diagnostic test to the students and then places them where they need to be, meets them where they're at. If they're a grade level or low or 2 below, it meets them where they're at. They can get on that program, gets their foundation solid, and then builds up from there. So that's one piece of our Wonders series, and the other one is activity cards. When teachers are needing just a quick 10 or 15-minute lesson, those activity cards are built in there, and they pull that, and it's a quick, easy lesson to reteach a skill. So all of that is being targeted during our Boost Time. Our professional learning time, like I said, Miss Ross and Miss Rapp are meeting 5 times this year with our teachers to target those skills. We are part of the learning walks, like the elementaries had spoken about. Our first one is Monday, actually, on the 17th. So we have teachers going to all buildings and even within, and our next one is in February. And our common assessments was the other piece that we're tackling. When we started last year really diving into our professional learning committee time, we had teachers coming in, we would meet, and we realized that they weren't all giving the same common assessments, so we couldn't compare, like they say, apples to apples. So we said at the end of our faculty meeting in May, when you come back in and we hit the ground running in August, we have to build common assessments across your content area. So that's been during a lot of our professional development days and getting that aligned so that when we do come together and we sit down and look at our kids' data, we know what we're comparing. We know where they're struggling at, what some of the challenges are, and yet we can see where they're successful. And then that's also helping with our Bulldog Boost lesson time. Our student data tracker, thank you, Amy. Our student data tracker, I wanted to highlight because we started this about 4 years ago, and when it was smaller than this, it has grown. It's kind of its own little animal, but it's very resourceful to us. It kind of houses all of our core data that we use, and we refer to this thing almost on a daily basis because it's for our student assistance team. We look at it and we see what our student needs are. If a teacher comes in and we're needing to see If a student is needing a service possibly, we look, are they available for Check and Connect? How far are they down on the list maybe for title? But we can get a quick glance at it. It's just a little snapshot, and it's got all of our MAP scores in it, if they scored basic, below basic, advanced, or proficient. It's got their STAR scores on there, you can see for math and reading, and we can kind of see if they're on the right trajectory, or if we need to start pulling them in those small groups during that boost time. So it's, can you scroll across the bottom down there a little thing? Thank you. It's pretty in-depth, so there's no names on there. This is just all fictitious data. But you can see, we know if they're in title, we know if they have a 504, we know if they are receiving services under the response or the reading success plans. And it's just kind of a one-stop shop that's very beneficial for our whole building that we use as a resource tool to help support our students. Okay, great. And I think I'm still up. We're going on to, I'm going to take over. Rob did the reading portion, I'm going to do the math portion. So the graph on our academic success, I'm going to go back one. That one, yes, thank you. On this one, this is exactly the one that Rob showed on reading. This is just showing the breakdown of our STAR math details by building. And of course, our goal is to shrink that area from the fall when they take it to the spring in that red at-risk area. And I'm happy to say that all buildings did do that, so we are making growth on that one. On our STAR math proficiency graph, the same one that Mr. Houck spoke about on reading for our math. When we look at the math proficiency graphs by building, we look for our students' proficiency to be obviously higher than 80%, and that's what we're here tonight to present to you, our plans of how we're going to get our students to achieve that goal and strive toward that goal. These reflect that the buildings did make growth, as you can see, so we are on the right trajectory. When we all met to go over these graphs and everything, we looked at it and we would like them to be higher, of course, even though they did make growth. But really, we talked, and in light of everything that took place last year in March for our students, our schools, our families, and our faculty, seeing that growth, we were pretty actually proud of that and calling that a win. So, because when they took it in the spring, they took it 7 weeks after the tornado, honestly. So we were pretty impressed with that.
Can I ask one question
Yes.
about this data?
Yes.
Remind me, in the fall, are you testing the same level as in the spring? I mean, are they testing for the end of the year?
Yes.
It's apples and
goes-
apples? So
Yes.
it's- yeah,
It is.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not the same, necessarily the same assessment
Not the
questions.
test, yeah.
So it's an adaptive assessment. So as students are answering questions, that does vary from the fall to the spring.
Okay. Right. You're on the same scale?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I should have asked the question.
That's okay.
But you answered it.
Thank you, Dr. Welch, yes. But it is comparable, yes.
Yeah, Renaissance has done the work on the back end to norm that data for each of the windows in which you take the assessment. And so that's how they calculate growth behind the scenes.
But the scale is based upon the scale you would have at the end of, for your grade level.
Correct.
Okay.
On the math academic successes, it's all based under a lot for our instructional coaches. For grade 3, their areas of growth for last year were on rounding standards and those tech-enhanced questions, and they're working with the instructional coaches to increase and improve on those skills that also carry over into 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. So they're even going to dabble in discussing in the data and statistics portions to support it. But their celebrations, you can see on there, we're multiplying, which is a huge thing for when you come to middle school, having those skills already. Our grades 4 through 6, their growth that we're working on in math include the data and statistics and the number sense and operations, always with fractions. So, but our celebrations were that our 4th through 6th grade students, they are still consistently scoring higher than the state in many of our areas. So that's very positive. Down at the bottom where it talks about the K through 3 report cards and common assessment work, that was last year it began with the K through 3. Those teams spent a lot of time reviewing and updating all the priority standards. They created the common assessments that went with that. And there is a priority standard in every single piece of the common assessment that represents every priority standard, so that we're making sure we're touching that. They're teaching it and we're assessing it. The new, under professional development for our K through 3, they are using the new tool Freckle, which we just had professional development the other day over it, and it's to supplement their math instruction. We saw a little bit of burnout by the time they would get to middle school from using Exact Path, starting in kindergarten, first grade, and Study Island. They were kind of burned out by that time. So we're going to carry on when they get in fourth grade with the Exact Path and Study Island. But K through 3's got the new tool of Freckle, so that'll keep everything nice and fresh. And I'm going to let the buildings discuss their individual math.
Our next collective goal, 80% of students will perform at grade level or above, measured by Renaissance Star Math. Piggybacking off what Ms. Davis just said, if our math curriculum, which we're very excited to look at new programs, I've got teachers that are very excited to tackle that. If that is the steak of our meal, our Freckle, extra math, those are the veggies and sides. So we're very fortunate in this district to have strong supplemental materials. We've pushed as a collective elementary across the district, but especially even leading into middle school, to really collaborate together to make sure that all 3 buildings are on the same wavelength with that. But while we are all on the same wavelength with that major curriculum, like I mentioned, we're very fortunate. These are adaptive tests, and while extra math handles more of math competency as well as just your math facts, for lack of better terms, Freckle is a more conceptual adaptive test. So for those high flyers, as we have parents that are talking about how are you going to push my kids or how are you going to remediate for my kid, both these programs give us an opportunity to push kids at their own levels while simultaneously pushing them along with the group in that area.
Kind of building on this running theme, it's really about the individualization of each child. Each of us have kind of talked about the meetings we have to plan for those instructional models for our kids and what we can do. A lot of the focus in math is just what additionally can we do as we build on the curriculum and what does each kid need. For us, through the common assessments, it's been great, but what else do we need to do in between those to strengthen for each kid and identify what areas they need to grow?
Just to piggyback, we're doing very similar things in regards to small group, using those weekly grade level meetings that I'm able to attend every Wednesday, just to talk about our common assessments and making sure students are placed where they need to be and getting the intervention they need to be, whether that be within the classroom, within the special education room, or even the title math programs that we have.
Bulldog Boost is on here for math, just like it was for reading, because our teachers do 3 days of it. So they do a reading day, a math day, and then the third day is an alternate day for whatever is based on student need. So our STEAM I put on here because our STEAM program has really amped up in the last 2 years. I called Dr. Welch last year. I'm like, do I have a STEAM budget? Does anybody? Because they are really doing STEAM projects. You go up and down the halls. They're doing all kinds of things that are boosting our reading, our science, and our math. They really are. So I wanted to put that on there and highlight that. I put PLCs on there again just because it's the same exact as reading. What we're doing for our reading, we're doing for our math. And the reason being is because 4 years ago when I came, we focused on reading the first year, then our math kind of leveled down. Then we focused on math, and then so we're just tackling it all at once now. So we have a little fruit salad or whatever it is, we're doing it all. The map and STAR data, that's what our instructional coaches are also helping us with. A lot of the data reports, sometimes it's just teachers needing to know how to read that data, get comfortable with it, and put it out. And even explaining it to parents, even at parent conference night with our STAR reports and things. So common assessments, those are being revamped. In August, they started on them for first and second quarter. When we come back in January, they'll start working on them for the third and fourth quarter. Tutoring, we have that AM and PM across all grade levels that it's offered. For our accelerated students, we have our mathletes and our Lego robotics teams, so that's a bonus at middle school we have that we're very proud of. I do want to give a shout out to Miss Ross and Miss Rapp and Miss Haven. I got their data from them. They have visited 50 classrooms just since school started. They have done 20 lesson planning sessions with our teachers, and they have modeled and co-taught 20 lessons. So having that piece really our teachers appreciate that so much, so it helps take a load off. The other things that we're doing in math, that they are supplemental programs, like I spoke about the Testlets in reading, that's also in math for the Map-A-Line that Desi pushed out. We do 99 math, we do the Nearpods I saw on the elementaries as well, and those are things that we're doing to boost our math. And I think, does anybody have math questions before we go into
Is this our second year of the math and literacy coaches that we have? Or?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Second
it
year?
is.
Okay.
Yes, and it's growing and growing, yeah. They're being utilized. Good. They're wore out, pretty much. That way.
It's doing its job.
Good evening. As we delve into the world of Rolla Public School attendance, I'd like to first have you look up, and what you will see there is our district proportional attendance rates. I believe Dr. Welch had previously shared this information with the board. This spans over 7 years, from 2019 to 2025. And again, ultimately, what we see within the last 3 years is that we are continuing to go in the right direction. Try to work this fancy thing. There we go. Here is our proportional attendance rate by building. All 3 of our elementary schools are here, as well as our middle school is represented. There are 3 data points spanning over 3 years, so it goes from 2023 to the spring of 2025. So all of our buildings, we are frequently monitoring our independent individual student attendance data, our whole group student attendance data. And this is really helpful because it allows us to identify our Tier 2 and our Tier 3 students in terms of attendance. It also allows us to, and assists us in supporting those students and providing possible solutions to those possible attendance barriers they may be suffering. One of the resources that we have and we all deeply appreciate is Mrs. Ashley Grisham, our school youth community liaison. She's exceptional at what she does. She will receive a referral from administrators, from counselors, and once she receives that referral, she is off and running, literally, many home visits, working to get in touch with parents and families. But I think we would all agree the most important piece of this is that communication piece, that supportive piece that she provides our families and our students as well, and then communicates that with the schools too. Parent communication, we are still highly proactive with that. We are continuing our district-wide attendance campaign, obviously through the leadership of Dr. Welch, the help of building principals, and of course, Ms. Gina Zervos. There's a lot of work that goes into that. Again, communicating how important attendance is. We recognize that attendance plays a pivotal role in a student's academic journey. And of course, with parent communication, we have Parent Square. That's been very helpful. Parent Square can notify parents and guardians of student absences, as well as it's that communication platform where parents and guardians can communicate with the schools too regarding those absences and attendance. We continue the tried and true phone calls frequently, as well as sending letters home regarding attendance, and at times when deemed appropriate, home visits will be conducted too. All of our buildings utilize and implement incentives and interventions, but what that looks like may differ between the 2 buildings. So I am going to turn this over to Mr. Cross so we can hear the wonderful things that are going on in Mark Twain.
It's a lot of pressure. All right. Hopefully I've got a few for you. Our last goal together, 90% of students will attend 90% of the time. Each of us have a focus, especially in the elementaries, when it comes to getting kids to school. Obviously, it's paramount, but whereas in high school or junior high, you might be able to focus primarily on the student, teaching them responsibility. Our littles are at the, not mercy, but are at the whims of their guardians. So we obviously have to take a significantly more pro or positive approach than a more punishment approach. One of the things that we do, Ms. Sneed has taken a bit of a point on that for us at Mark Twain this year, very appreciative. We have our monthly incentive for the grade levels. At Mark Twain, we will have a competition on who gets to sit in the bleachers, which is a blood sport by the end of it. They are very, very passionate about who gets to sit on the bleachers. We never mind who it is as long as it's not kindergarten. They stomp on the bleachers. So, but we also, Ms. Need has been introducing a perfect attendance for us. We attach the perfect attendance as a certificate and a positive thing home, but we also don't want kids to be coming to school sick either. So it's dual. We have a 95% of the time attendance where you're able to have a surprise, but at the same time, we also try to award that perfect attendance minute.
So similar, Mrs. Sneed kind of heads this up at Truman Elementary. I tried to ask her to take over a minute ago. She doesn't do late surprises very well, but she'll talk a little bit about her role later. But at Truman, our goal is really how do we incentivize the kids as much as possible. Also, we're trying to incentivize our staff for their attendance. And working through just some different models, both grade level, classrooms, individuals, the same certificates, probably slightly different, but the same certificates sent home for perfect attendance for kids. Popsicles were a celebration last month for the classes who had the best attendance. Also, one of the things we're working on is students who we notice are missing a considerable amount of time, meeting with those families and talking about a plan. How do we get them here? What can we do? How do we best help them? Also, for kids that we know are going to miss, how do we get that work, that learning caught up for them? What can we do to support that while they're out or as they return? Just a big priority.
What makes the world go round, especially to an elementary school student? Pizza. So we do pizza with the principal once a month. I also do morning announcements. So once a month, we take students who have been there 90% of the time. We put them on the morning announcement on a name spinning wheel. It picks their name. They get to see it in their classroom. And then that Friday, we have pizza together. The first time we did it in the cafeteria. And if you've been to an elementary cafeteria, I couldn't hear them, they couldn't hear me. So last month we moved it to my office and just had a little bit more time to spend together and have those deep conversations. But an exciting time, and once a month I get to eat lunch as well, so a win for all.
The middle school is continuing on with its incentives, but through the hard work of the RMS Attendance Committee, we came together to collaborate and really look at our incentives to see how effective they are. Through much collaboration, we determined that in years past, we have always done quarterly incentives. But we decided we would rather have more frequent reinforcement with our incentives, so we have now changed that from quarterly to monthly. This provides more additional opportunities for students to be recognized and hopefully increases that student engagement as well. One of the things that we do is during the lunch period, per month, we basically look at our 90% or better attendance rate for those students meeting that criteria. And then per grade level, students are randomly selected. 12 students from each grade are selected, and during their lunchtime, they are announced to come down and get an ice cream, a sweet treat, or something of equal value. They really like it. They love getting in front of their peers and getting their picture taken. So we've had some really good feedback with that from kiddos. We are in our third year of our Attendance Counts Every Day program. That is our ACE program. It is an attendance mentoring program where students are placed with a mentor. Again, they develop weekly and monthly goals, and then they also develop weekly and monthly incentives. So if they meet those goals, then they have earned those incentives. And something new this year that we are implementing at Rolla Public Schools is attendance plans. We've really had a lot of positive feedback with this as well, because attendance plans have really established a structured, collaborative approach for students, their families, and the schools to come together. It allows us to get face-to-face with those parents and guardians and the students and basically identify what are the attendance barriers, what is keeping them from coming to school. But most importantly, it allows us to work together as a team to find possible solutions. So again, it's not a punitive issue because so many things can happen. We have single parents sometimes that work double jobs. Is it a transportation issue? This is where the communication point comes in, to where oftentimes we can find solutions to these problems. So we're pretty impressed and happy with what we're doing, and we're going to turn it over now and look to the wonderful world of climate and culture.
I got a quick question on attendance, just real quick. No, that's okay. Have you guys seen a common theme of reasons why there's attendance issues? Have you seen anything across all of you taking a look at your data or individually?
At the elementary level, it is almost never student-related.
You have to go to the mic.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll move it. He doesn't.
Yes, ma'am. At the elementary level, it is almost never student-related. That is kind of a common theme that we notice. That is a bit of a challenge. Like I mentioned, you obviously don't want to punish for students that maybe don't have the car to drive, or they're not setting their own alarms. But unfortunately, we have fantastic community. People get here, but it is more difficult for some families to get to school or on time. But that's where, kind of to Mr. Houck's point, that communication piece with families, where it is not a judgment, but rather a come to the table and how can we help the situation, that's helping break down some of those barriers, where it's not we're hiding from administration, but rather we're trying to work with administration. But it is a common theme that sometimes it's tough to get here. And while we understand, we obviously have to put some things in place to make sure students don't take that big drop. There's plenty of research that anything more than 5 or 6 days in a missed school year will lead to significant learning loss. And when you start hitting that 20 to 30 times, it really does impact student longitudinal learning. So, any other questions on attendance? All right, I won't take any offense to it. Every year they don't give me the one with percentages, but that's okay, right? We all have our skill sets. But kind of talking as a district-wide when it comes to climate and culture, safety is a huge focus every year. It's obviously our #1 concern. One thing I have been very thrilled about is the continued process on the door access controls. It's more techie than I understand, but we hold up our lanyards and we get in, which is incredibly safe, considering I still have keys from both my time teaching first grade in Arkansas and multiple keys that I need to give Miss Green from Cuba. So this is, I am a case study on why this is an important thing district-wide, and we are very appreciative of that. I won't go too deep into reunification. Mrs. Sneed has taken point in all 3 buildings in the area of safety, so I'll leave some of that to her. But regarding that with climate and culture, one thing that I think is incredibly important, I mentioned it briefly, but it's that bringing the three heads together, right? Along with working with the middle school, who ultimately we're all pushing kids towards. So that collaborative effort that I think we're all trying to take steps towards is a huge theme towards our climate and culture growth, really all 4 buildings wide. Communication-wise, we still use Parent Square. I'll be honest, a little skeptical because people love Dojo like they love their children, but Parent Square has proven to be a great tool, at least for our end, when it comes to not just accountability for our staff, but when things are disagreed upon, we have full access. I was able to give a call and have access to any sort of conversations between folks. So keeping all of that under one house has been great for communication out to everyone. At the same time, not just using Facebook, but it helps keep our teachers as well as our administrators safe. So we appreciate having that as an opportunity. Retaining and recruiting high-quality staff. This is going to come mostly as a thanks for me. Like I said, I'm not going to go too deep into what Mrs. Sneed does. We'll leave that slide for her, but it has made a tangible difference. So I speak definitely on behalf of the 3 of us when I say that on the days that we have Ms. Sneed, we are more efficient and better principals. So for our central office and you guys, we know that's obviously an additional expense, but we are genuinely appreciative of it. And it has taken steps, in my opinion, in all 3 buildings for disciplinary action. We've heard positives from teachers on that, and it is a much appreciated position. One thing that is not up on there, but I think is an important thing to bring up every year, is our SRO presence in buildings. I mentioned it last year. It is not a regular thing to have the amount of presence that we have. We recently went to a local area elementary principals grouping, and it is an envious position to be in. Equally, kind of piggybacking off that, one thing that I've been personally appreciative of RPD for is, at least in my case, we have the same people kind of coming back. In our case, Corporal Wagner, they not are only helping to stay and keep our kids safe, but they become part of your school family. And as that continues, it raises everybody up. I do feel for Corporal Wagner. He is assigned to myself and Dr. Snicker, which is an awfully loud assignment. But for the rest of them, I'm sure that RPD also has positive things to say. Our parent and community engagement, that is an area that I'm in particular trying to work on at Mark Twain, but I know that we are working on across. We've got fantastic PTOs. We've got the ability to bring people in, but we need to make sure that we're using our stakeholders. You know, it's one thing to have a meeting and say, what do you like? And then a group of 4 to 10 parents talk about it. But when it comes to tangible changes, what are you looking for with discipline? What are you looking for with curriculum? We're all trying to do an increased job in making sure that when we're having those conversations, it's not just with our staff. Obviously, they're experts. They teach me things on the regular. But making sure that we have the ear of the community that we're serving is a step that we're trying to really lock in a lot more. And it's not as first nature as it might seem, because you always want to go towards the people in building, but we're taking steps for that. So any questions in general before we hit building specifics, or should I turn it over to Ms. Sneed for her assistant principal? Yes, sir.
It's not really a question.
Yes, sir.
But I was at Mark Twain not too long ago, and it was 12:50 when we pulled around and went in, and there was already 2 cars
Yes, sir.
waiting for 3 o'clock.
It's a coveted spot, that first lot. It is. I have debated selling high-end coffee that Dr. Dare might be able to help out with as a fundraiser. I've not gotten approval for that yet. But yes, we have our first parents at 12:50, and that line is, if any parents would like to do half-day subbings instead, I know that we are all very open to that as well. But yes, sir, we have several people ready.
And is that the same at the others? Schools
Yeah.
as well?
Yes.
Well, and then I'm an environmental guy.
Yes.
And if they're out there leaving their car on for 3 hours, that's not good for the environment.
Full disclosure, sir, I don't know if I'm going to walk around and tell them to turn their cars off. I will take directives. But at the end of the day, you know, I might.
That's just, it's not on you, but it's, we got to come up with something. I don't know. That's bad.
We should point out there is a volunteer program within our building as well. They could volunteer.
They could go in and read with the kids.
I do love that Dr. Fulton wanted to bring them in to volunteer, and I was exclusively trying to monetize their situation, but that is also we can use that idea second, boss. But yes, no, it's great parental support, we'll call that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Especially if they could keep their parking spot.
Oh, I've had that suggested many times of a fundraiser for parking spots, and I said, that is great. Who shall we get to enforce it? Will it be me? But no, we have lots of families that are better to be picking up too early than too late, right?
Or not at all, yeah.
Or not at all, that's right.
That's right. Yep.
All right, in that case, I will turn it over to our collective assistant principal, Ms. Sneed.
Hello, my name is Brittany Sneed, new assistant principal for all 3 wonderful elementary schools. I've been kind of just joking about my schedule as the custody battle. So on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I'm at Truman. On Tuesdays, I am at Mark Twain, and then Wednesdays are my Wyman days. My primary focus is supporting our students, our staff, and our school culture through behavior and discipline, just working with students and families to foster those positive behaviors and manage disciplinary matters with fairness and consistency just across the board. Instructional support, collaborating with our amazing teachers, primarily through observations, helping them grow and succeed and make sure everybody's doing the same thing again across the board. I also, like they said earlier, school safety, just ensuring that our schools remain secure, they're welcoming, conducive to learning for everybody. Curriculum assistance, I kind of already hit on that, but just kind of helping, especially with those reading success plans. They can be confusing whenever all 3 schools can't always be on the phone together at the same time when they're doing all of those universal assessments. So that was an interesting little learning
spot for me this year. Just trying to get 3 buildings, many people all on the same page. I'm trying to think what else I do. Everything. There's a lot in just a little bit of words there. Do you have any questions or anything for me?
I was just curious how the sharing works. Just curious. So let's say, Mark Twain has a need. Is there a week where you do an extra day there or an extra day? Why? I just didn't know how that might work. I don't know what that need would be. I wouldn't want to speculate, but.
Right. I know there's only really been 1 or 2 weeks where we've had to kind of split around my custody. And that's just whenever like principals are out, something comes up that they can't get a sub themselves where I would just step in. That way they don't have to have that place not have any support. But other than that, we really haven't had any issues yet.
So they're playing nice.
Yes.
So far.
Yes.
Yes.
Subject to change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right back to me. More specifically now, each of us will go into our climate and culture building specific focuses. Very intentionally, our academic focuses are linked, but each building is going to have a very different feel, a very different clientele of students, as well as staffs that are in different places. So for Mark Twain specific, we have continued to use our major and minor discipline system. That was implemented last year to have a more consistent way to document behaviors. That was actually put onto a Google form. I asked several of my teachers this year, why does no one use my Google form? They said they liked paper, so I print off my Google form now, and then I enter them in second, but we've managed a way to find to get it done. I do want to talk, though, about our student leadership team. This is led by Ms. Strabzik, and it's one you'll hear me talk about every year because as it grows, it's one of my favorite aspects of the building. So our 3rd grade students are given leadership opportunities that I believe helps prepare them for middle school that I take no credit on, but they are given roles throughout the building. That may be greeting kids in the morning. That may be checking on kids at lunchtime, hallway monitors, just chances throughout the day. Some new things. You'll see a Facebook post about this tomorrow, but they've started up a conversation cart. Before you go into our morning meetings every day, we have a student leadership team member that will give you a question of the day. It might be, do you like snow or sand? Do you like roller coasters or water parks? But having that human interaction starting the day. It also helps discipline, full disclosure. Not everybody comes to school in the best of moods. Not everybody had the same type of morning that we want our babies to have, and that's a good way to snap them out of it. For our morning meeting, if you'll remember, after the tornado last year, the gymteria became a forced daily assembly. We were finding that the morning meetings were getting away from us. They were too loud. They were a little rambunctious, so we got rid of the problem, and I no longer run them. So our student leadership team has taken over that role from me, and it has gone swimmingly the last 3 weeks. We also have a substitute cart. Substitute retention is something that we, all 3 buildings are actively trying to work on, and the real answer is it's not on my staff, it's not on my secretaries. We are asking for a number that does not exist. So retention is critical for us. If they're not going to be new substitute teachers, we need to take care of the ones that we have, be that with the appropriate plans or, in some of our cases, bribery with sodas and things like that, as well as just regular leadership opportunities and our weekly recycling. Our building leadership team meets monthly. That handles more managerial things throughout the building. If there's any things that need to be squashed, we choose to have it happen at that time. One thing we've really been trying to do is stick more to our agendas and focuses this year, make sure that our building leadership team focuses on its agenda. If it's an AR thing, it's there. If it's an academic leadership, we try to focus on that. Speaking to the instructional coaches, all 3 buildings, 4 buildings for that matter, have great stories with them. One thing that I am especially appreciative is all 4 of them are great, is if you call them up and say, I have a ridiculous idea that I don't know how to get done, they tend to just get it done for you. So we are currently piloting, Ms. Ross and I have been working on a paraprofessional training through RPDC that is going to be implementing at the very beginning of January, that we are hoping to have all Mark Twain paraprofessionals go through. By that second week, we hire people, and sometimes, the qualifications may be, I've got a couple that are, almost straight out of high school, and then we put them in very somewhat difficult situations with minimal training, so very excited about that. I mentioned several times, but Ms. Sneed has taken control of our crisis team and safety discussions. This is our second year really actively focusing on drills at Mark Twain. Ms. Sneed has some great ideas that I'm excited to be looked at as well. I've always done things a certain way. She looked at me like I was crazy, and it's just what I learned 8 years ago, so I looked at her like she was crazy, and I'm excited to see somewhere in the middle on that. Our PTO, a very, very wonderful organization. They are currently working on some food assistance things right now for our staff, or for our students, as well as just regular events. It's a fun thing for us to do. I had a parent mention the other day they appreciated the number of events. It was recent, but it could be anything from a food drive to Miss Allison's Dog Man night that had 150 people show. One thing that is new for Mark Twain this year that I'm particularly excited about, we have a community partnership with Green Tree Christian Church. They have really helped us out this year in doing some of the things to pump up staff morale that not always am I able to do. I know that throughout the district there are great community partnerships throughout. I don't think that can be lost, though, is that if those things didn't happen, admin could not take those steps. So with us not necessarily always able to do certain things, whether it be time-wise or resource-wise, we are incredibly across the board thankful for how the community takes care of us. I know that is true in each building. Any particular questions? Oh, I suppose I should mention at least a smidge of the elephant in the room. We don't have a cafeteria yet. We understand that, right? But one thing I do want to mention just overall with our climate and culture, you would not know it from my staff. I do want to give them a shout out on that. Overall, all things considered, morale for some of the things that you would never know walking into the building of some of the situations that currently exist, but their energy and positivity is enviable. So despite the fact that while we are constantly building and working towards that and very excited about that, I am very proud of their current efforts as well as attitudes towards some things in progress. So any questions in general, though, about Mark Twain's climate and culture?
So the question I
Ma'am.
have is about substitutes. You
Yes, ma'am.
mentioned trying to retain and get more.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you running short typically, or what does that look like?
We've seen it's been better than last year, in my personal opinion. So far, we had a solid month where I did not have to pull or split classes. Obviously, that really can disrupt a day, and we get it. No principal wants to come in and give you an extra 4 kids, right? Or disrupt a special education teacher's day in a necessity, or for that matter, pull up our sleeves and go teach first grade again for the day. So while we are obviously willing to do that and our teachers are understandable, not the goal. So I've noticed an increase, but really, as much as we joke about the overall, did we get you a soda? Did we get you? What they really want are accurate, easy to follow subplans at a district level. That move to technology, I think, was a more consistent piece to help them. It also helps admin for anyone that maybe does not have the best subplans. So that accountability on teachers, but also accountability on us administrators. We have to make sure that their days are not overly stressful. So I know all 7 of us or so will tell us up, hey, you don't follow the same rules as everybody else here. If you need us, you come get us. Here's the number, you just give us a call. So we've seen some success, but full transparency, as it gets closer to the holidays, and certainly in April, it's a lot easier to not pick up a phone when you're going Christmas shopping or it's a beautiful day to go fishing. So I anticipate we will run into some issues, but I've been very thrilled that I would say just for this point of the year, I have probably had to make half of the corrections that I did last year, at least so far.
Good.
All right.
Joe, one more thing.
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
give a shout out to your cafeteria staff.
Oh, yeah, guys. All right. No, well said by Dr. Fulton. My cafeteria staff, I'm not saying you have to pay them more, okay? But if they strike, we got to talk. Everybody in this district works hard, but I will just, I'll paint you a picture. So our gymteria, as we like to call it, it is full of athletic play 10 minutes prior to serving kindergarten. So Miss Alice, every day with the best attitude possible, wheels past food from the junior high and has been hit with dodgeballs. I'll just speak plainly to you, okay? They move past it and then proceed to serve off a makeshift table. And guys, if my teachers are great about not complaining about it and not noticing it, we have lunch like everybody else, despite the fact that that seems impossible. So the fact that they have 180 days of a significantly more difficult job than they need to have, and they do such a high-quality job during that is an admirable thing. Miss Teresa runs that crew, and she got our most valuable bulldog the other day, and it was wildly deserved. Her role is not an envious one, but they take great pride in their work. Them feeding our babies is a mission, and they don't have to do it, and it'd be the easiest thing in the world to quit, and they've chosen not to, or request transfers, and they've chosen not to. So very appreciative of that.
Wonderful.
All right, thank you much.
All right, for Truman, what's not up here is the work that went into this plan. A lot of it came from meeting with families. Joe talked about it, the climate and culture surveys and committees getting together and talking about what areas our building really needed to grow, and that involved our families, our community, trying to talk about some of those things. What is not up there either is the work that happened this summer. A shout out to our custodians for putting in a lot of time and effort into improving the building, the maintenance crew for coming over and working on the building. If you haven't been in, we've got new floors in a lot of the building, new paint across the building, and just a general clean feeling or cleaner feeling that has really uplifted morale. Our first MVB of the year was Mr. Mark, our daytime custodian. That really went to the whole team. And trying to talk to all three of them. He was the representative of the individual, but that was all three of them who put in that time and that effort. It's a tight turnaround to end summer school at the end of June and then have school ready basically by the beginning of August, but teachers want to be in there July 4th. And so that was a tight window to work around staff coming in and getting major projects done, and they've done a remarkable job. And so just credit to them for the feel of the building. And again, if you haven't been in since the summer and we've made some changes, please come on by. Love to show you around and talk to you about the building. To what is on there, I put our behavior technician. Truman houses a RBT, or a registered behavior technician, which is a paraprofessional who works within our building. So thank you for continuing to provide her and her support. She helps with pushing into classrooms for students who are having behavioral needs, developing plans so that they can stay in the classroom, and helping them work through that. There are times where she'll take them out and work with them to help them get ready to learn again, and sometimes that's a full day process. In addition to her, we have 2 BCBAs contracted by the district, Dr. Chad and Ms. Shauna, and want to say thank you for that as well. That has been a wonderful support. Both of them work through Truman and have benefited our building and our staff quite a bit. The work they do with kids is greatly appreciated, and they supervise Ms. Megan, who's our RBT. And so that program, not directly housed all the way out of Truman, but they do work a lot out of our building, so we do appreciate that. One new thing this year is our morning meetings, and so I will apologize ahead of time. If you come to Truman from 8:15 to 8:30, besides Miss Amy in the front, we are shut down. Everybody is in classrooms working with kids and talking about our weekly skill. And so one of the things that we took is we need to work on being a little nicer to each other inside of Truman. That was feedback from our climate and culture survey. Students didn't always feel that way inside of our building, and so we've kind of brain worked a little bit on what can we do to make that happen. And so 8:15, we shut down the building, we go into classrooms, and everybody's in a classroom with the teacher and kids. So one week I'm in first grade, the next week I may be in second grade, so is Mr. Mark, so is Kathy, our cashier. Everybody is in a classroom meeting kids and talking about skills. We started with simple things like how to greet somebody. This week we're working on conflict resolution, and very needed at this time of the year. We could also use a holiday coming up. But it's been a progress or a process for us, but we are seeing immediate progress where kids are nicer. And it's wonderful to walk into a classroom and they can greet me and I greet them back, and then those skills transfer through the hallways. For a long time, I spent time greeting kids and getting heads down and nobody talking to me. And now they make eye contact and they greet me with a good morning. Even some of our kids who don't always want to say hi or say good morning. So that's been a great progress for us. Continue to run clubs and after-school opportunities, trying to get our kids involved as much as possible. Mrs. Wolf takes on way more than she always has time for, but her music clubs and opportunities continue to support. And she's added one new club of the Rolla Fiddlesticks, which is actually available to all K-6 students to come in and learn strings. And so a new club that we've added. Continue year 3 of our Family Connection Nights. Just a reminder for those who may not know, we partner with First Assembly of God where they come in and we feed our families who will come in that night. We have a guest speaker from the community who talks about how they can help the community, and then we always give them something. So as they leave, they get something in return. So year 3 of that, our next one will be December 4th, if anybody would like to join us for that. Student Engagement Committee, that is a teacher-run committee in our building where we try and focus on each quarter one activity to engage our families. We have bingo night on November 20th. It is free to come in and we'll give you free popcorn. And we have wonderful prizes donated from the community and from our PTO. So come on out and play some bingo on November 20th at 6. Mrs. Lawning is our librarian. She continues on monthly library nights. So we just had the Creepy Carrots night for Halloween. We had a stuffy sleepover, and we're getting ready to have a frosty bingo night and all kinds of things. She does a great job of engaging kids with reading and bringing families into that library space and helping them feel welcomed in our building. And then another new addition is partnering with the Good Dads program. If you haven't heard about that in Rolla, the Good Dads program is actually out of Springfield, but we have a Rolla chapter. They have partnered with Prevention Consultants and Truman Elementary, where on the last Tuesday of the month, 7 o'clock in the morning, they come into Truman in our gym and will feed breakfast. Prevention Consultants does a lesson just about how to be a stronger family. How can individuals at home help out? The naming is not quite as accurate because it's not just for dads, it is for families. We invite all families, and so we have grandparents, we have aunts and uncles who bring kids in, and they participate in the activity for the month. In November, we are learning about gratitude. So, and that is next Tuesday, 7 a.m. If you'd like to join us or see what that looks like, just continuing that partnership. A lot of this, hopefully I have expressed, is just about us connecting with our community and our community connecting back with us to build a better partnership. So with that, Wyman.
All right, so talking climate and culture. If you want to bring climate and culture to an elementary school, you rebuild the playground, and we got that this week. So we are locked and ready to roll. Come over and go down the slides. Mr. Bill took the first slide down, so we were just thankful to have that. That really does bring an uplift after everything that Wyman went through. Last year, March, including the tornado and being displaced, taking early childhood out of the scenario, moving them to Green Tree, and then coming back for one final year before that early childhood center is built coming up next year. For me, being new this year, a big part of Wyman is just about building the trust and being visible within the building, making sure teachers see me, students see me, but then also that parents see me as well and feel welcome in our building. We started that with a back-to-school pool party at the Zone, and that was the first big nerve-wracking moment is when the leader came to me and she said, we have to close the doors because we're at full capacity, and there was a line standing out. So next year we will plan better and know just how many people want to come and join us. But still great involvement with the staff being there, the parents being there, and students just having that welcome back to school and welcome back to Wyman that I feel we really needed. We did back-to-school staff meals. Everyone knew that Wyman moved in very last minute, so providing those meals during that time, giving the teachers the time to stay in their classrooms and to collect themselves and get everything ready for the start of school. So bringing in those staff meals and teacher appreciation gifts was huge for us. Like I mentioned earlier, I do morning announcements, daily morning announcements. That's just a way for myself to get in front of every student and every teacher every day, no matter what goes on. I pre-record those usually in the morning. If you watch those, sometimes you'll see my two littles pop their head in the back or make noise, and they'll get the teacher mom look of like, stop, I'm filming announcements. But on there, we just do student recognition. Again, I talk about anything that might be coming up that day that is important for them to know. We put pictures of students on there. They're excited anytime they reach a goal. Again, talking about attendance. I also do different things as far as counting money, a word of the day, different things like that. We talk about the lunch. And then at the end, we put a morning corny. So if anyone has a good joke, I'm always looking for a new one. Sometimes elementary students don't have the best jokes. We did a Title I night. That is the Think or Treat Halloween event. We had over 400 people attend that, and so cool to see. They decorated the hallways. They asked kids instructional questions and then gave them either a treat, a piece of candy, or just some sort of little trinket. Really exciting to see, and just to bring the community back into our building and get to see all the cool things that have happened. Speaking of custodial staff, Mr. Bill was our first MVB. I don't know that his head fit through the door for a couple days, but that is well deserved for Mr. Bill. The things from March to August that they were able to do, and he really spearheaded that. He worked many, many, many hours that I know that he did not put in on a time card. He is truly dedicated to the building. So getting everyone in to see the work that he and his staff did was incredible. Again, we had a Halloween parade. I was told that maybe the bleachers and just a couple parents standing down the gym walls was usually what we could expect, and we had over 250 parents attend that Halloween parade. If I believe it was maybe live streamed or videoed, and if you saw me frantically pulling out chairs, it's because I was not well prepared. So next year we will do better. But just again, getting parents in and building that trust is what I think is more important for Wyman this year, where we can build on some of those community partnerships with me being new to the community. Right now, PTO is kind of at a hold. PTO, I think, to have a strong, uplifting PTO, you have to be able to ask parents for favors because it is not a paid position or anything like that. And so just coming in, I did not have the relationships coming in to be able to ask for those favors yet. So we're slowly building that. I actually have a meeting set up next week with a lady who would like to talk all things Wyman PTO. With that being said, we are still continuing a lot of the traditions that have happened there. The holiday store was something that has taken place for lots and lots and lots of years. We are continuing that through a program, Penguins.
The Penguins.
Playground. Yeah. Oh man, something like that. Yeah, Penguins Playground.
You tried to get us every year.
It's Penguin. I don't know why that never comes to me, but basically, it's allowing us to still continue the holiday store that Wyman has so strongly held on to, and continuing that tradition for all students. So, questions on Wyman?
I'm excited to hear that they're still doing the holiday store. I laughed because when we first started going to school at Wyman, my kids, my children, I was in the PTO and I was treasurer, and they were talking about how we have to start in like August and we start working on all this stuff for the holiday store, and I thought, well, we need to cut that out. It's too much money, it's too much work. And the first year I went, oh, we will never stop this, because those little kids, oh my gosh, they get to come in and they get to shop, and they're so excited and they're so grateful and thankful and excited to bring a gift home.
Yes.
So I know it's a lot of work. I mean, we used to store all that stuff in the shed that blew away.
Well, in July of 2025, Ms. Heflin had those same thoughts of, wow, why are people already asking me about donations for the Christmas store? And good to know that it wasn't just a this year thing.
No.
Yeah.
And we used to have an Excel spreadsheet with the inventory on it, so we knew if we needed boy gifts, dog gifts. Heather knows. Yep, Heather knows.
Yeah, the program that we're going to use now, they send you all inventory. It was the lady who runs it was a former PTO mom who feels very passionately about it. They send you all inventory. prices range anywhere from 50 cents up to $12. You offer what you want. We will not be using it as a fundraiser, which some schools do.
Yeah, we never had it.
yeah,
I mean, we didn't make money at it.
Right,
But,
right. It's just for the joy of it.
Do you still wrap the presents to take?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They'll have individual bags that they are able to decorate for the people that they are able to shop for, and we will send that home with them.
Okay. Well, if you guys need some volunteers.
Perfect. December 11th. I will go ahead
There you go.
I will go ahead and note some volunteers. Yes.
Note some volunteers.
I hear a
Wyman's
new
my
treasurer.
school.
Yes.
And
We've been there, we've done it.
Yep, absolutely. We'd be more than happy. And for anyone who wants to come and walk the halls, please contact me. We'd be happy to have you come, watch the morning announcements, whatever it is. I'm happy to put my face out there, and I'm just grateful to be here and experience this with you guys and the calm after the storm. So, thank you guys.
Jen, I would like to do a shout out to you and your staff.
Thank you.
And the amount of work and dedication that everyone put in there when I'm telling you, you can't have floors until 4 days before we get there.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to you and to all of your staff for all of that hard work and effort, and they truly are rock stars.
Miss Heflin was here before she was an employee here.
Correct, she
When
was. She was here the
tornado
night-
hit in her
She was here the
building.
night of the tornado as well, and she had just been hired. But, I mean, seriously, I know your staff was stressing, and we all were, but they made that building look amazing.
Yes,
So
they did.
Thank them for us.
Next time you guys hire a new principal, you don't have to throw a tornado party. Just welcome them. Like a dinner would be great or something like that.
They
but
said raise the roof, Ms.
Yeah,
Heflin.
Yeah, I will say this, and I know we're televised, but I was hired for my last position, and like 2 weeks later, COVID hit. I was hired for this position, and 2 weeks later, a tornado hit.
You can't leave.
So I'm going to stay at Wyman. You were no more natural disasters, but
No
no,
more
they really have been great, and I'm glad that anytime you were calling to tell me that it was going to be delayed, it was through a phone call. So it did not have to be face to face, and my face could look however it needed to look. But it all goes out to the staff. They did incredible. They were resilient is the word of this year, and I think that Wyman truly embraced that and made they are the definition of resilient. So thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least, that's right. I'm going to talk about the climate and culture at the Rolla Middle School. I kind of split it up into two categories, students, parents, and community and our staff. We have lots of fun celebrations going on at Rolla Middle School. We've continued the school programs and events that we've had with parents, STEAM night, NFL night, and we added a new one this year, RMS 101. And that was a kind of a 101 for parents to get them into our building and teach them different things that we do in our building, Google Classroom, Infinite Campus, more about our PBS. We had a detective come in and talk about social media safety with TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff. And our counselors also had their own session. We are continuing growing our PTO back. It's been a great collaboration with them. They do lots of fun things for our students and staff. We have our most wanted board that was asked to be explained in one of our meetings. So our lovely art teacher, Jessica Humphrey, she sends out a spreadsheet every month, and the teachers nominate the most dependable student or the most kind student. And then they make it on our most wanted board. And she goes around and takes their pictures, and they hold their little sign, and that's how they're recognized. And then it's also on to our Bulldog News. Some new things we've added in this year. PBS, we're trying to ramp our PBS up, and it's positive behavior support. And we're trying to kind of extend that from the elementary schools. But we have quarterly assemblies, or monthly assemblies now. And each month we have, so far we've got to have the band come over, and they have teamed with our PBS committee. And this last week, the jazz band came over, and the 8th graders played for our kiddos as they were entering the gym. And we do it in the gym so that all grade levels can be together. It's not a 5th grade assembly, a 4th grade assembly, it's a whole school assembly. The teachers have been doing skits for us, and it's just been a really fun time. The first one, the band came, and they threw T-shirts and everything, like a big, huge pep assembly, so it was really fun. Something we're continuing this year, the Dining with Defenders has been a big hit. We have the police department, the fire department, the rural fire department, the ambulance. They come and they eat with our students each month. A different group comes and eats with a different grade level. So the 20th, on our Thanksgiving feast day, the police department is coming to eat with our 5th graders. So the kids really that's what they really like that. Something new this year with everything going on in our world, we're putting together some Thanksgiving meal kits for our students. The teachers have donated their money to ensure that our students have meals for Thanksgiving. And then today, they were able to put together with donations 30 spaghetti meals for some of our students to go home tomorrow. So for our staff, some new things, we've really amped up our staff spotlights on social media. Amanda Gray has taken that. She makes the little template she has, and she interviews them and takes their picture, and they are recognized on Facebook. Last year, something new we did to kind of give our staff a voice, we had end of the year one-to-one meetings, and we allowed our staff to come in and visit with us one-to-one if they chose to do that. Something new this year, Darren Voigt has helped us implement. We've kind of had a fun weekly football competition. We take each list of football games for the week, and we check off who we think's going to win, and he tallies them all up. And Mrs. Davis has been kind, and she treats the winner to a lunch. So that's been just a fun little competition that we've all. Our secretary cheated last week and used the high school boys that came over for A+, and I stopped her right there.
Just know your resources.
Yeah, that's what I know. She's just using her resources. And we've really tried this year to. Ms. Zerva sent out the maintenance worker day and school cafeteria worker day and paraprofessional day. So we've really tried to focus on that this year and really make sure that we're recognizing all those groups that help us. We held a breakfast for our maintenance and custodial workers a couple months ago and just invited them in to have breakfast and just sit and kind of have a few minutes peace and quiet. And so that's something that we're really proud of that we've done. Some things we have coming up right now, currently we're doing turkey feathers around the building. So we each had to draw 6 turkey feathers and write something that we're thankful for about that person. And then we go and put them on their turkey that's hanging outside their room. So it's been fun, even going around and reading what everybody else is writing about our staff. And Heather Vineyard in our building is an amazing baker and cookie decorator, and she's offered to hold a baking night for us to kind of give some extra climate and culture for us to work together and come together for something fun. So with the date, I'll let you know. I'll send it out to you. I'll send it out to you. We haven't
Please
nailed
do.
a date down. We just talked about this yesterday, so I will let you know. So, yeah. Any questions or anything for middle school?
How is the substitute retention at the middle school? Is it similar to the grade schools? And
It is. It's hit or miss. Like, it's been a few weeks since I've had to pull paras. We've had to split classes a couple times when we've been in a pinch, but, we do have some really good faithful subs that we're able to pull from, but of course, it would always be great to have more. So it's not been terrible. It's been doable. I've subbed in a couple classrooms here and there. I've covered for ISS lunch and things like that, but, we just go where we need it and we make it work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Always can use volunteers.
Always, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Light, again, I want to thank your teachers as well for their patience because they couldn't get in late either. They've also dealt with all of those air conditioning issues. So very thankful for them as well. They did a really good job too.
Thank you. I will let them know that. Thank you.
All righty. To give Miss Sneed a little more props, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, she reminded me in my office that on our Mark Twain summary, we do not have a tagline yet, right? Full disclosure, it was on my spring agenda. I pushed it to the fall last spring. So in that nature, I had looked up some Mark Twain quotes, and the favorite that spoke to me personally was, "Success is a mixture of confidence and ignorance." And while that may retain to me, I don't know if my staff would like it too much. So that's going to be a bit of a push for us as we move forward. But I want to talk for a moment just about we talked about resilience, and that was the word, right? I did mention in an admin meeting when Ms. Heflin had come to visit, we were all sitting around, that perhaps next time we could pick a more easy word like happiness or ease or anything non-weather related. But my staff is one of the most resilient groups of people I think you'll find. I mentioned it in my earlier climate and culture piece, but it is a group of people of high skill set and empathetic skill set that when you walk into that building, you would not know that 5 months ago we were popping up 18 tables and 200 chairs. These people are working tirelessly, and they are doing so while carrying me 90% of the time. So very, very appreciative of them, as well as for our families. One thing that we always push is if you're not having a good time while you're doing it, you're probably not going to learn to the maximum ability. So that's both for our students as well as our staff. While we try to have a good time, it is also pinnacle to us to have that high level instruction to each student. And one thing, as I walk through the hallways, Ms. Sneed walks through the hallways, we are seeing students on task, growing both behaviorally and socially, but also academically. And it's a very exciting time for us. Speaking to what Ms. Heflin said, last year it felt more like an introduction to the building. And unfortunately, when adversity hits, you have the opportunity as a staff to come together or split apart. I've been incredibly proud of my folks for their ability to come together, ultimately for our students. You know, we have a fantastic group of families and students at Mark Twain, but ultimately my support staff and my teachers are providing that education, and incredibly proud of them. So while there are certain things that we joke about that are in transit, are going to be, there's also a lot of really exciting things happening, from Miss Allison getting a book vending machine to new hallways and paw prints to we have my personal baby project. Just recently we had our screen come down, so we have an official actual use of HDMI, technologically advanced screen, which is a big step up from our projector from one of my first classrooms back in the day that we've been using. So in the midst of trying to grow and keep going, there's also just a lot of exciting things happening. So one that while we are trying to push forward, also enjoying in the present, and just want to obviously appreciative of all of you guys for the support, but do really want to give credit to both that support staff crew as well as my teaching crew, because when you walk in, you would not know that there was adversity, and now we're at the exciting point of taking some of the things that we were building on last year and pushing forward while adjusting to things as they come. You know, it's not the easiest thing to teach a kid to read. It's harder when you have to explain why they're doing soil testing outside with what looks like an oil drill thing. So just want to really appreciate those family members, community members supporting this, but to give credit where it's due, my crew is making substantial differences for students. I'm very appreciative of that. Whether it's academic, cultural, climate, any questions at all for Mark Twain before we pass it along? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Truman was in a different spot in March. Unique situation. You've heard a lot about the stories of each building. We were fortunate enough to not be hit through major impact through the tornado. Our families definitely had unique situations and challenges of their own, but we were allowed the opportunity for them to work through that. And so we spent time helping them, but I want to give compliments to all of the buildings for how they worked through that. We talk about resilience, and each of them showed that. Also take time during this to thank you, board, and your resilience. Dr. Dare made a speech early on in that process about, in the immediate, we'll get a lot of help, and people will talk about it, and people want to reach out. 6 months, 9 months, a year from now, those same things won't be offered, and that's when you need resilience. And you guys are doing that right now. The work earlier, talking about still overcoming that. Thank you guys for continuing to do that and continuing to push through to support us and do what we need. In all those difficult times, you still found a way to get us an assistant principal for the elementary. That was much needed for several years and is greatly appreciated. You continue to provide us with the support that we need to run our buildings every day and continue to support kids and our families and make Rolla stronger despite any obstacle that we've been presented with. So thank you for that. To Truman, I want to highlight all of our staff, all of our families. There are not words that I could say to show the appreciation for all of those individuals, and I'm beyond honored to represent them and to work with them every day and to work for them every day. I believe in Truman, and I know you do too. Do you guys have any questions about Truman? Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind words.
Well,
It's Jen's turn.
oh, it's Jen's. I'm so sorry. Jen, I'm ready.
I thought maybe you were just like on my All right, so middle school here, let me talk about them. No.
That would be fun.
Right.
Maybe we should do
Just a
that.
flip-flop, yeah. So again, with this coming in, being hired in March and then immediately hit with the tornado and getting to be a part of that team, it was incredible to see. I think many other districts or other places might have given up, might have went virtual, and you guys made it a focus to not, to make sure that we kept students in seat, which is truly important. Getting them here, making sure they're safe and well taken care of is our top priority. So thank you guys to the work that was put in there and then allowing me to be a part of that. When I look at these pictures, I will claim the little boy in the blue down there with Miss Lund's class today. Tomorrow might be a different case, and he might be looking for someone to stay the night with. But not only have you welcomed me, but you've welcomed my family to Rolla and accepted us and everything that we have to be. This year, we will celebrate what Wyman was, and send preschool, early childhood off with a bang as they open their new building and start new traditions, but also keeping Wyman a special place that it always has been. The secretaries, I can't go without saying thank you to them. They have been my life support. Every parent that walked in and answered every phone call that you never know what it's going to be, and they do it with a smile. So I couldn't have this presentation without putting them in there. Just seeing the faces and the true joy that is taking place. Wyman really is a special place. You'll hear me say it if you're in the building all the time. Work hard, be kind, we'll figure out the rest in the end. But as long as you do those two things, everything else will fall into place. So again, thank you for allowing me to be a part of the team. I feel truly blessed to be here standing in front of you guys today. If you have any questions or anything that you need, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now
ready.
you
I'll go.
can.
I'm ready. So for Rolla Middle School, we put our caption as Rooted in Resilience because we are so happy to be under one roof together, back again. As to what Mr. Houck alluded to, when that all occurred last year on March 14th, the other buildings, it was 3 buildings that were hit majorly, but those other buildings adopted us and stepped in and took care of us in ways that we could never thank them enough for. Our families did, our students did, the community did. They rose to that challenge. There wasn't a day that went by that we didn't get our needs met for whatever it was. When I look at our pictures and I look at our kiddos on there, we didn't have enough room to put all those pictures that we would have wanted to represent what Rolla Middle School is. Other than that Rooted in Resilience, we wore our shirts tonight for Rolla Middle School, our Resilience t-shirts from the district, since that's our theme this year. And I have a family member that works in another district an hour and a half away. And when that all occurred last year, she called me and she said, my principal said, are you going back to school, really, in 7, 8, 10 days, whenever that was? She said, well, that's what my sister said they're doing. She said, there is no way our district could do that. She said, I just don't believe it could be done. She said, we'll see if it happens. And it did happen. And it was everybody in the entire community pulling together. So I'm very proud to be here and stand before you tonight. I'm humbled, and thank you for all your support, our community support, our families and students. So do you have any questions about Rolla Middle School? No? Before I cry.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Is that it?
Yes, thank you again for those wonderful presentations. All right. Moving on now to comments. So our superintendent report.
Just a couple of quick things tonight. One, we met with our calendar committee yesterday to start looking at 26, 27, because, you know,
6, 7.
that's, no. No.
Mr.
Next year's calendar is interesting. As a reminder, we're limited from state statute as to when we can begin. And so Labor Day is the latest possible date it can be. So 14 days before that also puts us the latest possible start date. So it pushes us into that last week of August, which then puts a real crunch on first semester. The way Christmas falls and everything, it's just probably the worst case scenario for an easy layout. But We met with the committee, we talked through some options and looked at some possibilities. We'll send that out for feedback and collect that information. We try to bring that finalized calendar to you in January so that our sending schools can utilize that information to build their calendars with, as most of them try to match up with ours, and some, at least to some extent. So
Are you still looking at a pretty big imbalance between the number of days in the fall and the number of the days in the spring?
it's depends on what we do.
Okay.
So we've kicked around a couple of ideas. There is a little bit of an imbalance, but I think in the end, it will be okay. Historically, we've had more days in second semester,
Right.
but we also understand with state testing, with more field trips, those kind of things, that it does
kind
weigh
of-
out a little bit. But there is a line. We don't want to cut first semester too short, and so trying to balance that out a little bit.
You didn't mention weather days.
And our weather days are built in, so we're not doing weather days. But it is a little bit. So we'll get that summary information out. We'll get the feedback from the committee members. And we have representatives from the buildings. We have parent representatives. We have business representatives. We have student representatives on that committee. And they'll all go out to their individual people and bring back feedback. And then we'll develop a final recommendation to bring to you. So a lot of work to be done there. I was asked by the high school to remind everyone the drama department musical is this weekend. So this is the first full show. They did Chicago, obviously, last spring, but it was kind of they made the shift over to the new facility and made that work and did a great job. But this is their full first chance to be in there for all of their rehearsals and setup and lighting and all the things. So shows are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. and also at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Tickets are available at the door or online. $10 for adults, $7 for adults and senior citizens, $3 for children under 4 and under. The doors open at 6:30, the doors open 30 minutes prior to showtime, so 6:30 or 1:30. So I'm sure it will be great. Looking forward to that. So that's it.
What's the musical?
I'm sorry, Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz. Yeah, I think there might have been a storm theme there. I don't.
All right, next on our item is just written reports. We have the attendance, the substitute teacher list, the finance report, cafeteria report, and program evaluations. Our next meeting will be December the 11th. We will start early again. Closed session starts at 4, and open session will be at 4:30. Any comments from the board?
I was just going to mention, I got to go to the Truman Veterans Day Assembly. It was adorable. It was absolutely adorable. Mrs. Ayers, I believe is the computer teacher's name, is that the right name? And Mrs. Wolf kind of had things up, and then they had second grade singers, and they had a high school singer who came and did the national anthem, who had been a Truman kid. It was very thoughtful. And then Mrs. Ayers' husband is Drill Sergeant Ayers, so he came and did a little elementary presentation. They had done some letters to soldiers, and so there was a lot of appreciation from him for who he had sent those letters on to encourage some of the soldiers. So it was very sweet. I'm really glad that I was able to be there and see that.
Great. That's awesome. Yes, I went to the junior high for their performance, and they had the high school band came and performed and did a slideshow and had a retired corporal that spoke for a little while. So yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
And I served them breakfast.
Oh, nice.
And I think they went to the high school after that to get lunch. So, had a packed day.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
that's awesome.
Anything else? Anyone?
Getting ready for basketball to start?
Yeah, I believe the jamboree is
Where are we at? with
Friday?
football? Yeah, football.
It's been 3 weeks ago, but we all went to the MSBA conference, and we haven't met since then, but we
That
all
was
had
very
a
good.
good opportunity for learning.
A lot of great speakers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good topics.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of good sessions. All right, anything else?
I move we adjourn.
Go for it.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no.
He raised
We
his
are
hand.
adjourned.
Larry said aye.
Thank you